all for parks.
Are you an adult with a disability looking for support? The Department of Integrated Services for Individuals with Disabilities, DISID, is here to help you. We connect individuals and families to programs and services that support your independence. If you're interested in working, our vocational rehabilitation team can help you explore job opportunities and build a path toward meaningful employment. To learn more, call 671-475-4624 or visit www.disid.com.
The road to Adelup is set. This time, we sit down with Democrat candidates Senator Joe San Augustine and former Senator Dwayne St. Nicholas. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 8 on the Wave 105 YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a Glimpses of Guam radio station.
In the afternoon, this is the Bright Side right here on Wave 105. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Ryan St. Nicholas on this Friday edition of the Bright Side. Standing by the host of the show, Mr. Pauly Suba. Buenas.
We do want to thank our sponsors of the Bright Side. That's GTA. We start with you. Subway, you got a refresh to be fresh. And Chili's, Grill and Bar at Chili's. More life, great food, and memories happen here. Welcome back. The Bright Side right here on Wave 105. Biba Betness.
Biba.
671-922-1051 or 1052. We are online, thewave105.com, as well as our YouTube channel, Wave 105.1 FM Guam. Some news from the Guam Supreme Court.
Okay.
They have ruled that Governor Lulian Guerrero has the authority under the Organic Act to establish, maintain, and operate public health services in Guam, including hospitals.
Wow.
The court said the power is specifically, I'm looking at the judgment decision here. The court said the power is specifically granted to the governor, and the Guam legislature cannot block those duties unless there is an overriding constitutional reason to do so. The court also ruled that Attorney General Doug Moylan cannot use his authority. They use 5 GCA subsection 5150. He can't use that to veto power or as veto power to stop the governor from spending federal funds to establish a hospital. Instead, if there is a disagreement over whether the governor's actions are legal, the issue should be decided through judicial review by the courts. In its judgment, the court stated that federal law grants the governor enumerated authority to establish, maintain, and operate public health services in Guam, including hospitals. The court further found that the AG cannot, again, use its authority as a veto power that prevents the governor from expending federal funds to establish a hospital. Mm-hmm. The ruling was issued as a declaratory judgment, meaning the court answered the legal questions that were presented to it. The court has not yet released a full written opinion explaining its reasoning, but said it may issue one later. Any request for rehearing must be filed within 14 days of the judgment. And so 5 GCA subsection 5150, or people say 5150 a lot. Mm-hmm. Basically, it's the Guam law that generally requires the Attorney General to review contracts, agreements,
and sign off,
and other legal documents involving the government of Guam to make sure that they are legal before they take effect. Mm-hmm. And so the law gives the Attorney General authority to review government actions for legal sufficiency. And if the AG believes something is unlawful, the AG can refuse to approve it. But the issue in the hospital case was whether Attorney General Doug Moylan could use that law to effectively stop Governor Lou Leon from moving forward with a federally funded hospital using the ARPA money.
Yes.
And then also withhold the approval. And so, I mean, we knew this a long time ago.
The governor's always been saying it.
Even before A.G. Moylan was the A.G. And that's why, you know, you'll still hear some things where basically you have no say.
Yeah.
She was, it was just, she was never, and see, they use that so, to
Make
be
her sound
fair,
like a dictator.
they use that so many times, but they're taking it out of context. She was just simplifying what they were talking about when it came to emergency, dealing with the pandemic. And when it came to the ARPA money, the President of the United States in Congress gives the authority not to Lou Leon Guerrero, to the governor of every state and territory.
I'm pretty sure that, you know, in other states and in other jurisdictions where it was challenged, and I'm almost certain that there is some sort of case law that where the AG just or even the legislature in that district or that state just didn't want to deal with what their governor was doing.
Well, there's a bunch of pressure, right?
Yeah,
For sure.
Yeah.
So the court does not strike down 5150. It said the law cannot be used in a way that prevents the governor from carrying out powers granted again under the Organic Act.
Yeah. Well, the AG's job is to review to see if there's any. I mean, if it's legal, and I don't think that was the argument with the AG. I think what it was, hey, look, this thing is just. It's a ticking time bomb that's waiting to blow up, and I'm not going to sign off on it. And that is where the crutch of the problem is.
But here's the issue,
because
though.
if he doesn't sign off on
There's
it,
nothing on the record that stated that even President Trump or Congress or anybody on the federal side was going to take this money away. There's nothing on the record that said it. The only institution that was being contentious, again, is the legislature and the AG. Whether I agree with the governor or not, right? Because they have valid reasons. I mean, just going through it over, almost 8 years now, going through all of this, right? Right around when COVID hit and the ARPA money started to roll through and talking about just where are we going to put this hospital? There, can't agree on that. And for a number of different reasons, again, is why this thing has been stalled. And so I've been saying this regardless of whether who's right or who's wrong. The only losers are the people of Guam, because I can't wrap my head around it. Why we had this money and we couldn't build a hospital with it.
Yeah. Again, obviously the governor knew something, and when she said that famous quote, "You really don't have a say." And it wasn't like she was saying the people of Guam don't have a say. Really,
it was when we have an emergency and we have to utilize facilities, we have to move assets and resources, we have to set things up,
and
right?
And we definitely need to build a new hospital, and that's.
But at the same time, I mean, everybody has a right. I mean, to everybody has a right to sue, and we had our time. There were many of them, right? Many businesses that were coming out saying you can't keep us closed, right?
I mean, the only other option that I foresee, aside from appealing, right, with the AG, Doug, is probably taking it all the way up to the Supreme Court, because this, of course, was our.
It is a Supreme Court, though.
It's not federal.
This is the federal.
District.
No,
it's not.
This is the Supreme Court, the Guam Supreme Court.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
you're talking about the federal. Okay.
Yeah. That's probably where that's his. Actually, to take it to district court, and then,
they pushed it down, though.
They did.
They sent it back down.
They sent it back. That's right. I forgot about that. Okay, so they sent it back down for the Guam courts to handle it, and the Guam courts already came out with their take on it.
So we're waiting on a statement from the governor, but we do have something from Mr. John Ryan.
Okay.
He sent an audio file, but we won't play the audio file. I basically transcribed it. John Ryan is the communications director of the administration.
Good guy.
He says the Supreme Court decision in order is positive news. However, it was not unexpected. It affirms our position that the Attorney General cannot use veto power to prevent the governor from using federal funds to establish a hospital. It affirms that without an overriding constitutional need, the legislature cannot prevent the governor from exercising her Organic Act authority, which includes establishing, maintaining, or operating public health services, including a hospital. As I said, we'll have more of a statement, an in-depth statement from the governor and lieutenant governor a little later on today. And so, again, that's Mr. John Ryan.
Wow. This is interesting. I'm like, it's juicy because now I'm pretty sure Doug is at his office, with his team, and they're trying to come up with ways to.
Well, I expect a appeal.
Yeah, I'm almost certain that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then it's just going to push the.
The
kick
sad
the can
part
down the
is the $104 million, and we even heard the lieutenant governor saying, we can't, even if we wanted to, we can't, GWA cannot construct that substation in 6 months. So we're going to be returning some money.
Wow.
Right? And that's, again, we're big fat losers here.
Yeah, man, we are our own worst enemies.
We're just giving away money that was rightfully ours to build a public hospital.
My thing would have been, man, hey, if you're going to give it, at least give me my portion. Whatever that may be, right? Before you return it. I'll use it.
Yeah.
Sad.
It's unfortunate, right? I mean, that so even when we were talking with Senator Therese Terlaw yesterday, I can respect what she's saying too. That they didn't want to share the plan. And it does come back down to transparency.
Yeah.
And so I see both sides. However, I mean, this is what happens when we don't work together.
Yeah. I mean, when you look at the miracles that can happen when all of the branches work together, GMH actually got accredited because the legislature, the governor's office, GMH, everybody took part in it, and that was the mission, to get GMH accredited. We lost it somehow, but that's what happens when we work together. Positive things.
Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio said when he was with us, right? He said, I can work with him.
Yes.
I can work with A.G. Moylan. We did see that early on when it was to address a homeless encampment by the Micronesia Mall.
Watching that play out right on the news and reading about it.
I was there.
I was like, man, this is good. This is really good.
So all the services were available, wraparound services. It just wasn't safe. Like people, I'm sorry, you have to see it for yourself. It was not sanitary. I know that there are some people that are like, just leave them alone. It's not sanitary.
Yeah.
It was not healthy for them either.
I mean, when you look at that homeless encampment that's right off Route 16, like right after the intersection, if you're going up to the mall, it's going to be on your right side.
Yeah.
That's
that
knocked out.
also was not safe.
That was cleared out. They were like,
that was also unsanitary. So I was there too. I went over there myself just to see it for myself. There's feces.
Wow.
Everywhere. There's no sewage system. They are sleeping within 50 feet away from where they do number 2.
Yeah. Wow.
It stunk.
Yeah.
It smelled like sewage.
Well, the good thing about it is now
and
it's all
there
clear.
I didn't see paraphernalia, but there were others over down in Tumon, by Blue Lagoon, that old parking lot.
Yeah, that old garage.
There was drug paraphernalia, all kinds of needles everywhere, condoms. Thank goodness they're, having safe sex, but. But it was all kinds of paraphernalia that was laying there. That also was unsanitary because there also wasn't a a sanitation system in place. All kinds of trash that was dumped in between Blue Lagoon and the parking lot. That's not how we solve homelessness. We don't ignore it. We must address it head on and create real shelters. And so when we looked at that encampment that was over there in front of Micronesia Mall between where Route 16 and 1 met, we saw GRTA was there. There were buses that were able to take them over to the farmers market. Guam Department of Labor was there. Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center was there. Public Health was there. Department of Labor was there because they were going to help them find jobs. The Office of Homelessness and Poverty Prevention was there because they were going to help them find shelter. They were even willing to store so much of their bags of clothes. There was piles of bags of clothes, just belongings, that they were just storing. And so they were willing to help them with that. There were truckloads of trash that needed to be dumped. Vice Mayor Peter Beneventi was there. So was, at the time, the mayor, Mayor Melissa Savares, that was there. This was everybody working together to not just move them out, to provide them services, to provide them the resources that they needed. I spoke to an individual that didn't want any help whatsoever. He just wanted to be left alone. However, you can tell he also needed assistance.
Yeah.
He also needed assistance from Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center. And I'm not going to judge anybody, but at the same time, Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center says the law says every individual, and I'm a firm believer of this too, every individual has autonomy over themselves. So they must also want the help. I can't just tie their hands and throw them in the back of the car and drive them over to Guam Behavioral Health and Wellness Center and demand that they take him. That's not even what needs to happen. That's not being, that's not even being human, because they're not animals, regardless of what anybody else says. And so you got to treat people with respect. And he's not committing a crime either at the time, right? And so there's no evidence that he was. So I'm not going to treat him as a criminal because I don't have the proof, but clearly he needed help. So when they came together and they were working together, that's what I saw. I saw that people needed help. Now, obviously, A.G. Moylan has his own perspective. He tells you he is tough on crime, and he is unapologetic about it. He will not apologize for it. That is the AG that you can expect, right? And so you know, he's not hiding behind anything. You know what you're going to get from him. And so it's up to you to decide. Is that what you want from your AG? I'm not going to tell you. But what I can respect out of him, I know what I'm going to get. Now I will decide for myself. Is that what I want when I go to vote? I don't know what I'm going to get from anybody else compared to him. Compared to A.G. Moylan, I don't know what we're going to get because they were never AGs before. So there is something that I want to get to, and we'll wait. We'll just take this break, and then we'll reset, and then we'll play from the from this video. You're actually going to get to see it. I think we've worked it out. There are going to be a few technical issues just because This is the first time we're actually going to be able to play footage where you can see it and hear it. So there'll be a couple delays, but
You're making me nervous.
I'm excited. I'm excited to do this, right? And so just because I have a short memory, even though some of us did watch this yesterday, we played some of the audio clips yesterday just to remind us. And then for those that did not get an opportunity to watch it, we'll just reset and watch it from
The beginning.
from the very beginning.
Yeah, because it's really, really interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is Dr. Ken Cooper, who is the director of Pacific Center for Island Security, and he was being interviewed among two other individuals, right, by the Center for Strategic and International Studies. And he was part of a panel of young Pacific leaders, and they were talking about why Pacific Island voices need to be heard more in U.S. policy decisions. So we'll take the break, and then we'll not just play the audio clip, we'll play it from the source. And so you'll actually be able to see Dr. Ken Cooper on our YouTube. And so this is the first time I think we can do this because we were testing it out. People that were listening around 12:30 this afternoon were probably confused with what was going on because we kept playing. We were testing it. There's still a couple YouTube test links that are up just to see if we can get this right. So we're gonna do it on the other side of these right here on Wave 105.
Sometimes the best solution to a tough problem is a little bit of wine and a lot of time. Welcome to the National Day Spotlight for May 29th.
National Coq au Vin Day celebrates a pillar of French cuisine, but was once a desperate solution in peasant kitchens. The name literally means rooster with wine, and it was designed to solve a specific culinary problem. Unlike tender young chickens, an old rooster was notoriously tough and virtually inedible through standard roasting. Farm workers discovered that by slow simmering the bird in a bath of red wine for hours, the connective tissues would finally break down, transforming the meat into a tender masterpiece. Enhanced with mushrooms and pearl onions, this poor man's stew was eventually elevated to a gourmet standard by world-class chefs. It's a delicious reminder that with the right technique, even the most difficult ingredients can be turned into a feast.
Isn't that funny? It was a poor man's food, and now it's 5-star.
There's a lot that went the other way, too, like ice cream and chocolate used to be for the royals and for the rich.
And now we can all have it.
Yeah, so it goes both ways
It
sometimes.
sure does. We're also celebrating National Paperclip Day and National 529 Day. I'm Alice Anderson.
And I'm Marlo Anderson with National Day Calendar, reminding you to celebrate every day.
If you're looking for world-class website hosting at a fair price, Pair Networks is your best choice. Whether you're a professional web designer or a beginner just getting your site online, Pair Networks has a web hosting plan that's right for you. Log on and learn more at pair.com. That's PAIR.com. Pair Networks, world-class web hosting at a fair price. Visit us at pair.com. Pair Networks.
Registering a domain name on the web? You should know about Pairnick. Pairnick offers .com names at a great price with quality service you expect. Because Pairnick is powered by internet leader Pair Networks. Whether you need a domain name for business or personal use, Pairnick is your best choice. Remember Pairnick when you need a domain name. That's PAIRNIC.com. Pairnick.
3:31 in the afternoon, and right about now, it's our first look at the roads of Guam. Your daily commute is going to get easy because this gentleman right here is going to help you move forward. Mr. Pauly Suba.
All right, let's check out our handy-dandy glimpses of Guam traffic app here on a Friday. Things are looking pretty decent. I don't really see too many issues. I know we're still further away from the 5 o'clock hour, but it is summer too, so I mean, if it's anything like this whole week, I'm not going to see too many issues, right? Unless there is a crash. And so let us know if you find anything out of the ordinary, and we'll share with the rest of our audience and let them and help them try to move around any of those situations. But for the most part, I don't see too many issues. Even the traffic lights, when they turn red, it's like one light change and then you should be able to just move on. I don't see too many areas where it's going to take multiple lights. Maybe the airport road, Route 10A. But even that's just mild congestion, just staring at that right now. Helping you out, move forward on to this Friday. Once again, that's Guam Auto Spot. Call them up, 478-AUTO. View their inventory on their website at guamautospot.com.
Our brain learns faster when the reward is worth it. I'm Cooper Lawrence, health and wellness expert, and this is all well and good. The size of a reward dramatically changes how fast you learn, and scientists at Howard Hughes Medical Institute have the data to prove it. For decades, neuroscientists assumed learning speed came down to repetition, not payout. Turns out, they never actually tested it. When they finally did, the results were jaw-dropping. Mice given large water rewards learned a task in a single day, as opposed to mice given tiny rewards that needed many days and thousands of repetitions to reach the same level. The secret is dopamine. Bigger rewards produce larger, long-lasting dopamine signals. That means information is absorbed faster, essentially turning distracted students into focused ones. I'm Cooper Lawrence, and this is all well and good.
The newest home affordability hurdle is simply keeping the lights on. This is Ted Rossman with the Bankrate Personal Finance Minute. Residential electric prices are expected to increase 4.9% this year, according to the U.S. Energy Information Administration. That's on top of a 5% jump last year. In 2025, 2 out of every 5 homeowners cited fluctuating utility bills as having an impact on their financial stability, according to a survey from homeowners insurance company Hippo. And that was before the conflict in the Middle East sent oil prices skyward. War isn't the only thing driving utility costs up. Bankrate notes that rising electrical demands mean electric companies need to invest in improving the grid, which leads to higher rates. It means that buying a home or staying in the one you have could require some updated budgeting to make the costs work. Some utilities reward users who use less energy during peak times, and some municipalities let you shop around for cheaper power. Investing in energy-efficient appliances, windows, and insulation can also pay off. I'm Ted Rossman.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
The road to Adelup is in full swing. We recently spoke with Democrat candidates Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio and Senator Tina Munilla Barnes to learn more about their vision for Guam. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 26th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. This is a glimpses of Guam radio station.
If I could reach the stars, I'd pour one down for you.
All right, let's see if this works, yeah? Okay, so again, this is a discussion that was hosted by the Center for Strategic and International Studies, and experts and young Pacific leaders talked about why Pacific Island voices need to be heard more in U.S. policy decisions, especially as the region faces growing challenges like climate change, military competition, cyber threats, and maritime security. Here's Dr. Ken Cooper. This took place 2 days ago, Wednesday, and the hosts and this entire organization is based out of New Zealand, and he was one of the 3 panel experts speaking. Obviously, Dr. Ken Cooper represents Guam.
A lot of our people serve.
So
We have
there's
a large
that one.
veteran
There you go.
community, right?
We can see
but
him
at the
and
same
we
time,
can hear him. Biba.
we have to understand that there are environmental consequences, there are potential economic consequences, geopolitical consequences to being used the way that we are today. And so I lay out some recommendations in the report for what I believe to be short-term fixes, things that we can do immediately, or I don't know if immediately is the right word when it comes to United States political bureaucracy, but short-term versus a rather longer-term, over-the-horizon foundation that will change the structural relationship politically between Guam and the United States. Because at the end of the day, I think Guam and the United States can and should continue to have a very good and close relationship, but I do not think that being an unincorporated territory is the way to do it. And so for us, our political status can be perceived, and I argue that it should be perceived as a Guam security issue. And I'll leave it at there for now. I don't want to go over my time, but more than willing to entertain further questions.
You want to go or hop in? All right.
Yeah. So Ken, thanks so much for that. And one thing I liked so much about your paper is the very clear and concise recommendations that you did lay out. As you say, you laid out some short-term recommendations, some long-term ones. Those short-term recommendations especially really struck me as, for lack of a better word, sort of low-hanging fruit, something that should and could be very easy in certain political climates to move forward on. So if you could you just take a minute or two and expand a bit on those short-term recommendations and what the next steps might be for the U.S. and potentially Guam to move some of those forward?
Sure. So the short-term recommendations I outlined in my piece are really to get at what I think have been glaring problems of our relationship with the U.S. military right now, which have been issues of transparency. I think lack of addressing civilian preparedness, and of course the economic and environmental costs of large military projects. Those are the big three right now. And so the first was, just to conduct feasibility studies for civilian shelters in Guam and fund the construction of civilian shelters. I think that we've been told, there are things out there like presence is deterrence, for example, or we don't need shelters because, our deterrence capability will be, is too tremendous or too great. But the reality is if deterrence fails, where do the people of Guam lie? And so we look at places like Taiwan and Japan that have these sort of civilian protection measurements, civil defense measurements, and we are asking, we think it may be time to investigate the potential for that to happen in Guam as well. The second was, one of the large parts about housing is that military service members have the overseas housing allowance where they don't actually get to keep the leftover stipends and they don't use them. So we're asking, and this has been something pushed also by the Guam legislature, to switch over to the basic housing allowance system, which would allow them to keep leftover stipends if they find less expensive housing. Because as of right now, because they cannot pocket the remainder, right, the prices are gonna match, right? The realtors are gonna try to make sure that it's up to that par, which then prices out the rest of Guam's population. In regards to transparency, there was a Lincoln Laboratories at MIT that did a report on the Enhanced Integrated Air and Missile Defense System for Guam. We just are asking for an unclassified version to see what that Lincoln Lab report said about the feasibility of the missile defense integration, etc. And then lastly, if we are going to bear the burden of security and potential conflict, I think that we need to plan and fund improvements to critical infrastructure in Guam. Underground power lines, water quality control systems, renewable energy sources, to improve what is often called resilience, right, in the event of conflict. So I think that these are, I like the way you put that, Catherine. This is low-hanging fruit. I think that there could be political momentum to get this done in the near term. And overall, again, it addresses transparency, it addresses economic and environmental consequences of bearing the cost of U.S. military projects, and of course, it does allow us to have a larger voice.
Do you mind if I just jump in for 1 second? Thanks for laying that out, Ken. My question is, these seemingly, as you said, are pretty low-hanging fruit, but government bureaucracy can be slow. There are equities that are involved, but you've laid out, I think, very clearly four, kind of making sure that we understand feasibility study for kind of hardening civilian protections, housing, making sure that the market works for everyone who's on the island, the transparency of the report, and of course, critical infrastructure improvements. Let's step back. Let's say that we see progress on all 4 of these short-term things. What would you expect to find the result of those? How do you think it might affect or change the current dynamics within kind of Guam-U.S. relations?
I think it would greatly improve because, the grievances, people are feeling the skyrocket prices. Now, the OHA versus BHA, that's not the whole reason for the high cost in Guam's housing, right? I want to lay that out there, right? But it would help resolve part of the problem. And I think that would overall if you make housing easier and people can have a better livelihood, that would improve the relationship. Because there's still a very good relationship, right, between the way that people in Guam view the federal government. But my report is just to say there are these pieces that are still left there that need to be addressed, right? Saying that we take seriously the potential for civilian defense, civilian shelters, I think that helps assure our community way beyond just saying, we got this. One of the military officials actually said in one of their speeches, we got this, you can sleep well at night. Well, I need...
All right. That's where we're leaving it there, right? Yeah. Okay. Again, he talks about the short-term recommendations, studying and building civilian shelters in Guam, improving civilian emergency preparedness. We need to know that plan, like straight up. Are we still using the same plan that was available, I don't know, a couple years back? I don't know if it's been updated. Do businesses know that they're going to take people from the street? Is that something that we're still doing? And that we're closing up our windows and our doors and locking them until it's all clear? Do teachers know what to do? Do parents know what to do? Those things are there's uncertainty. And so it needs to be part of the normal conversation, because other conversations other societies and other countries that are within the First Island chain and whatnot, like Taiwan, that is a normal part of their life. Even South Korea, it's their signage. And I forgot who told me. I think I'm just pretending to forget. But maybe those kinds of signs would scare off tourists. Where are we getting our tourists from? Most of them are from Asia. They know what's up. That's part of their life
coming
too.
From the hot spots.
Yes. And so that's in their news also. They're here to enjoy the beach. They're here to enjoy the climate. And so I'm not saying to post it everywhere, but just like we have the tsunami signs. Mm-hmm. And we're so far off when it comes to emergency preparedness with the new technology. We're not getting the cellular capabilities when there is when there are alerts. We're not getting them like in some of the other Asian countries, or even in the continental U.S. in the States. They have them too. Tornado alerts. Right? And tornado alerts, those are happening by the minute. We know a storm is coming. We know a storm is coming in 7 days, sometimes even longer. But those things need to be addressed, and it needs to be part of the normal conversation. We can't be scared to talk about this stuff anymore.
Yeah.
Let's see here. It's the same. Like our kids are exercising. There are exercises within the school for
earthquakes.
Well, shelter in place for active shooter.
Yeah.
Our kids are practicing those exercises, and we are normalizing it. Mm-hmm. So I don't understand why we can't really have real conversations on what it means to have man-made disasters coming our way, i.e. missile attacks.
Well, I'll give you a prime example, right? When North Korea was acting up, and that's when they started naming missiles the Guam killer and all that. Yeah, of course, the legislature they did have a closed door meeting, right? And from what I gathered, because I was in there, I was like, man, really, there was really nothing we can do. There's no bomb shelters or anything like that, for that matter. And I guess,
well, on the record, Esther Agagi says we do. They're called our homes because they're concrete.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've heard where, man, if something comes in, man, just pull over to the side, get behind a building, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Really?
And kiss your dog in goodbye.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I mean, I wouldn't want to be around, right? I'll be jealous of, of the people.
I mean,
that
they're
have
not
perished.
saying it, but basically, it's kiss it goodbye.
Yeah, and that was pretty much the message that I got, right? And I'm like, wow, okay, that is not cool because, I mean, at least give us a fighting chance, right? But I mean, considering. I mean, I think the only place, there's two places, right? I believe it's Public Health in Manila. That structure right there was built. I mean, you can actually see the fallout shelter sign. And then also the court in Ganya.
Yes.
You would still see that sign when you're in traffic.
Yep.
Yeah, so those are the only two places. And even at that, I don't even think it's enough to, with everything that's happening now.
No.
So, yeah, no. I mean, yeah, I
right.
mean, it's not like we can just get into our cars and drive to another state. We can't do that.
Well, let's play another clip here
Yeah.
because a lot of what Dr. Cooper says is very interesting, and I'm so grateful that we have the Pacific Center for Island Security that just keeps us abreast of what is happening in our region. They have so many resources that are available to not just us, but to so many people that are paying attention, and so we need to continue to pay attention ourselves. Otherwise, people will make decisions for us.
Yes.
Continue to make decisions for us. If we become informed, if we become educated, then we'll understand, what kind of decisions are being made, and do we agree with them or not?
All right, here we go.
Phrases to be reassured that I can sleep well at night. And then I think releasing the unclassified version could be better transparency initiatives. One of our legislators held a roundtable hearing, tried to call Joint Task Force Micronesia over to testify. They didn't show up, and they said there are other channels for that. But I think basic civil-military relationships need to be improved in Guam, and I think this is one way to do it. And of course, you fund improvements to critical infrastructure, everybody in the island is happy. That could be very much a win-win. So there are a lot of these win-win situations that could occur that would improve civil-military relationships in Guam, in my thinking.
Great. Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, thank you. Marilyn, over to you. So your essay makes the case that humanitarian assistance in the Pacific cannot be separated from questions of sovereignty, culture, and regional leadership. While outside partners often approach disasters through logistics and emergency response,
you are of other experts. But I want to just focus on what Dr. Ken Cooper was saying because, again, we are pressed for time here. I actually want to go to a part where he starts talking about, well, the question is, what is Guam's expectation for a genuine partnership with the United States? And so that's further down. That's like around the 43-minute mark. Yeah, so you can just keep going all the way. Again, the question is, what is Guam's expectation for a genuine partnership, right? And so he had already shared some of his short-term solutions, but even when you get further into it, it's all connected to our political status as well. And there just seems like there's not a genuine, even though there's the promise, there is not a genuine they don't genuinely want us to switch our political status. Not statehood, not independence, not free association. Just stay an unincorporated territory. And that's not genuine partnership, or that's not a healthy ecosystem either. So just continue to make decisions for us. That's not healthy at all. So we're almost there, right? Yeah, we'll play that now. You're just, again, there's a little bit of lag, so we're not gonna hit the timestamps exactly there. But I mean, we have this new toy now, and so we actually get to watch them rather than just only hear them.
By supporting
No, you're good. Just play it from right there. You don't have to reverse. So when we talk about some of the long-term solutions, he argues the United States should help modernize Guam's political relationship with the federal government. He says Guam should eventually determine its own political future, whether through statehood, free association, or independence. Yeah, just play it. Because you got to actually, there you go.
integration programs, as mentioned before, training for law enforcement and community responders, improved maritime surveillance capabilities, and funding for youth and mental health initiatives. Yeah. Thank you.
Super helpful. I'm going to stay on the kind of rapid-ish fire that we have. So if you want Washington to listen, if we're talking initiatives that could take place all across the Pacific, as Maryland's essay lays out, or more narrowly scoped to Guam or to Samoa, Washington is listening. And final words here, what is the main takeaway? I know we've been circling around kind of dialogue and respect, but if you have policymakers who are tuning in right now, can you maybe just give us one or two things that they can take back with them from each of your essay? Let's start with Mario first on this, then Ken, then Marilyn.
Thank you. If the U.S. wants a stable and resilient Pacific, then investment needs to go beyond traditional security and focus equally on community resilience, local governance, youth engagements, and rehabilitation programs. Because supporting Pacific-led solutions early is far more effective than responding after instability becomes entrenched.
Excellent. That's really helpful. Thanks, Mario. Ken?
I think in Guam's instance, it really would be resolving the political status issue that has been plaguing Guam for, to use the words of our local clothing brand, ever since. And then secondly, I think just increasing the avenues for civilian-military relationships that take into account the environmental, economic, political costs of bearing the burden disproportionately.
Right. Marilyn?
I think for me, because I work in the regional space, I think it's the US creating pledges or having meaningful pledges and commitment to disaster risk financing in the Pacific. Especially one avenue would be the Pacific Resilience Facility. I think funding is a big gap, and like Ken had mentioned earlier, the withdrawal of US aid had, it left a lot of vacuum, and for Pacific countries with very, very small resources, funding is critical.
All right, there you go. I think for the most part we have the gist, because Dr. Ken Cooper, again, he leans into, again, the Guam's political status, and there just doesn't seem like, so he even shares at one point when you go to United Nations and we speak on, our concerns of being a unincorporated territory and the need to, the promise is from the United States even that they will assist us with our political status journey, right? Our right to self-determination. However, when we go to United Nations and we share our concerns, they leave the room. And then they write their own statement just completely discrediting what we're saying.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not a true partnership. That's not genuine partnership. It's almost undermining, almost like you want us to stay a colony.
And that the United Nations is where we have more bite for our plight, pretty much, right? I mean, because we can take it to Congress, but Congress is like, wait, is that the aircraft carrier out there you're talking about? USS Guam?
Yeah. And so he even says, like, maybe how they can have a genuine partnership is allow a United Nations team to come out.
We had that.
It has been years.
In the past, we've had that.
It has been years.
I remember when there was this
decades
complete movement. Everybody was all on board with the Commonwealth movement back in the 80s, right? And, that went down in flames. And then in 98, we took it up to Congress because apparently going to the United Nations really wasn't, it wasn't helping our efforts. And so we went there, we had all the governors. I remember watching it. It was Governor Paul Calvo, Governor Joe Atta, and the current governor at the time was Governor Gutierrez. And then we had this senator from Hawaii, right, when Governor Atta's like, look, I challenge everybody in the panel. And he just got all, you don't make no challenges here. Senator Abercrombie, that's his name. And it's still on YouTube and everything. And I'm like, that is the attitude. Like, hey, you don't come here and demand stuff. This is the U.S. Congress. I'm like, okay. Apparently, dude, you don't know the history of Guam where you guys just came in and just took everything. So it's, I think.
Oh, they bought it first.
Yeah. Well, really? They bought it?
1898.
No. They didn't. It was a spoil of war.
It was a spoil of war, Spanish War.
I think it was Captain Glass came in and fired one cannon, and our Spanish government didn't even, hey, whatever, man, you take it.
Yes.
And so I guess, and so, when you look at what happened in Congress, and it was televised, everybody was watching it. This is it. We're going for it. They shot us down, and they basically, the whole thing. I mean, I even remember watching something on the United Nations where you had Dr. Robert Underwood, congressman at the time, and then you even had Senator Mark Charfris. You had people from Guam actually going there, and you had one guy, right, just a staffer, right, representing the United States. Well, they do have an organic DAC, and they do vote, and they do participate in democracy and everything and all. And because we're like making our case, we're still a colony. Well, in our opinion, we gave them the right to vote and all that stuff. And I'm like,
we don't have a real true representation in Congress.
It was so sad that this guy, they didn't even find Guam so important. They sent the staffer. That's how bad it was.
There's no voting representation in Congress, and we have zero representation in the Senate.
Yeah, it was from the State Department, I believe.
So, I mean, that doesn't really, I mean, just define it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't even have to, it's not even an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Go ask your Chat GPT, is Guam a colony of the United States of America?
What does it say?
It will say yes. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Google it. Use any AI you want. We are a colony. That's not an opinion. That is a fact. 4:01 in the afternoon. KGUM FM in Dededo, Guam. What we'll do is, I think we're gonna be getting a phone call from Christine St-Nicholas.
Okay.
She is the administrator of the SNAP program.
Nice.
And so, I mean, a lot of the rules change come Monday. And so we want to share with our audience, well, what are those? I have the list here, but I'd rather hear it from the administrator herself. So we all are on the same page.
Yes.
So we should be getting that phone call on the other side of these right here on Wave 105.
KGUM FM, Dededo, the talk of Guam. This is Wave 105.1 FM, a Glimpses media radio station.
Here's how a major Wall Street CEO learned to do more than he thought he could. I'm Jeff Colvin of Fortune magazine with the Fortune Business Update. Goldman Sachs CEO David Solomon recently spoke to MBA graduates of the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania. He said as a teenager he played 3 sports, was in student government, and worked scooping ice cream. He wanted to make more money, and his father told young David to write down everything he did each day. He found he was wasting quite a lot of time. 3 weeks later, he had a second job flipping burgers at McDonald's. Today, Solomon doesn't just work nonstop. He occasionally moonlights as a DJ. His larger lesson is embrace criticism, stay open to change, and lean into the opportunities in front of you, and ultimately, years in the future, be satisfied with how you've spent your time. I'm Jeff Colvin.
A serious laptop for serious work. This is Soundbites, and I'm Alan Davidson. The latest laptops are versatile, powerful work computers designed for developers, business, and gaming. Doug Wilcox says the new Asus Zephyrus Duo, with its multi-display option, is an outstanding example.
There's the screen where you would expect to find a laptop screen. There's another screen where you would expect to find the keyboard, and then the keyboard you can remove and put in front of the second screen, and the whole thing has a little easel with it, and it folds up. So in the same horizontal space, you then have 2 beautiful high-resolution monitors and a keyboard.
And with that extra display comes a choice of 3 different chipsets so that you can optimize for the kind of performance you need to get your job done. See it now at asus.com. With Soundbites, I'm Alan Davidson for CBS News.
It all connects. The girl who walks for hours to bring home the family's water, the school she can't attend most days, the breakfast she didn't have, the rain that hasn't fallen in months, the danger around the next bend, her little brother's belly laugh, her mother's hug, her dreams of being a teacher, an engineer, the mayor. All the reasons life is both so hard and so beautiful. It all connects. But so do we, for children's sakes. At Child Fund, we connect through everything we do, together, so every child can grow up healthy, educated, and safe. Because we need each other. Learn more at childfund.org.
As a parent, you said you'd never give up the convertible. Look, the van even has its own vacuum. You said you'd never stop listening to your music. Do your happy dance, yeah. You said you'd never schedule your life around a stuffed animal. Nobody panic. Bun Bun is still at daycare. You said you'd never give in to demands. 2 kids' meals. And a chocolate shake. And never put them in harm's way. I'll be right back, little man. Just gonna pop in the store for diapers. But never happens. And no amount of time is okay to leave your child in a car by themselves. Long line today. Temperatures as low as 60 degrees can be deadly for children left behind. So always bring them with you every time you park the car. Stop, look, lock. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Many of our U.S. veterans and service members face challenges: mental health struggles, housing obstacles, employment, food insecurity, and social isolation, to name just a few. I'm Bob Woodruff. My family and I started the Bob Woodruff Foundation in 2006 after I sustained a life-threatening injury while reporting from Iraq. Our service members had my back that day, and we need to have theirs now more than ever. At the Bob Woodruff Foundation, we raise awareness about the tough challenges veterans and military families face and invest in solutions to help support them in the next chapter of their lives. And with one solution comes the next. We solve the housing situation, we increase employment opportunities. We solve employment problems, we address food insecurity. We solve food insecurity, we impact physical and mental health issues. Learn more about our work at bobwoodrufffoundation.org/success.
4:07 in the afternoon. We are KGUM FM, Dededo, Guam. Right about now, it's time to check the roads of Guam. It is raining out there, cats and dogs. And this gentleman's going to let you know where to go and where not to go on your daily commute as he helps you move forward. Mr. Pauly Suba.
All right, so looking at my handy-dandy glimpses of Guam traffic app here. Yeah, if the roads are wet, just definitely be very cautious. I would start even driving about 5 to 6 miles per hour lower than the speed limit. I am seeing some heavy congestion on Route 8 already in the Mighty area and continuing through Barragata. Over at the tri-intersection, that doesn't look too difficult, and taking Route 16 all the way back down towards 1 is nice and easy. There are some issues and congestion. Route 1 heading northbound in between the Micronesia Mall and GRMC, right in that stretch of road right there on Marine Corps Drive. Expect delays there. Once again, helping you move forward on this Friday. That's Guam Auto Spot. Schedule that test drive today. Call them up, 478-AUTO. View their inventory on their website at guamautospot.com.
Every 16 seconds, an American receives a cancer diagnosis, and every minute of every day, another person loses their life to cancer. That's why Stand Up to Cancer has set a bold goal to make early-stage detection an essential part of standard of care for all cancers. So often, if cancer is detected early, the chance of long-term survival is 90%. So if we all support cancer research, more than 2 million lives can be saved in the next decade. So join the mission and help save lives today at standuptocancer.org.
We are all for first-time guests and longtime friends. All for First Light and Starlight. For road trips and trail runs. All for mountaintops and monuments. River bends and battlefields. We're all for showing up and giving back. To protect, to preserve, to pass it on. All parks depend on us, and we're all for parks. Join us at nationalparks.org/allforparks.
The road to Adelup is in full swing. We recently spoke with Democrat candidates Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio and Senator Tina Munia Barnes to learn more about their vision for Guam. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 26th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. This is a glimpses of Guam radio station.
Feeling good, getting things done. Wave 105 FM.
Back to the show. This is the Bright Side right here on Wave 105. Thanks for tuning in. Here's the number 671-922-1051 or 2. Let's bring up the host of the Bright Side, Mr. Pauly Suba. Buenas.
Viva Betness.
Viva!
All right, we do want to thank our sponsors. That's Chili's Grill and Bar. At Chili's, more life, great food, and memories happen here. Subway, you got to refresh to be fresh. And GTA, we start with you. Also, celebrate this Father's Day with us here at Wave 105, honoring our first heroes. You can win your dad a special bundle package from our sponsors. That's Guam Plaza Resort, Nana's Cafe, Roots Grill House, Auto Works, Jollibee, Proline, Cream and Butter. Those guys keep me very nice and smooth, right? And so I really appreciate our friends over at Cream and Butter. And so to participate, you'll send or text our WhatsApp line, 671-922-1051. Submit your dad story. It could be funny, it could be heartfelt, whatever story you got about your dad. You can start sharing them now, 671-922-1051 to our WhatsApp, right? And eventually we'll give you even more details on how we're going to pick the winner. Obviously, we'll share those stories on the air, and then we'll be picking winners as we get closer to Father's Day. So again, the WhatsApp line is 671-922-1051, and just keep us on your WhatsApp contact. Like, keep us connected, right? So I mean, label us already on your WhatsApp as Wave 105, so we're just not some random number on your phone. And so again, and you can enter as many times as you like. It doesn't have to just be the one time, and hope that that's going to get you that one message you sent us is going to get you the prizes. You can message as many times as you like, as many days as you want as well. And so as we get them, we'll read them out when we have opportunities, right? Throughout the show, our show, and then also Patty's show from 6 to 10. We're waiting on Miss St. Nicholas, right? I know she had called earlier, so we're just trying to make that connection. I just finished calling
the number that she gave back.
Yeah.
Called it twice. Nobody's answering. So, Miss Christine, if you're listening, please give us a call.
All right, 671-922-1051. And so the reason why we wanted to have this conversation with her was on June 1st, the SNAP rules are going to become more strict, most especially the work requirements for the beneficiaries, right? Again, it was signed into law. These changes, these stricter work requirements, were signed into law back in July of 2025. And so starting this Monday, many adults ages 18 to 64 will not qualify for an exemption and must work at least 20 hours per week or participate in approved work, training, education, or community service activities totaling 80 hours per month. We have her now? Yes, we do. Hafide, Christine, thank you so much for the opportunity. Again, you're the administrator of the SNAP program, right?
That's correct. The Bureau of Economic Security.
I do remember meeting you. We were talking about DSNAP at the time.
Oh,
yeah. This was years ago, right? Yeah. Right. So, if you can kind of share with us, our audience, first, ABODS is short for able-bodied adults without dependents, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. And so, correct me if I'm wrong, many adults ages 18 to 64 who do not qualify for an exemption must work at least 20 hours per week?
Correct, right. Okay. There's different ways that they can meet the requirements. So, yes, it's working 20 hours per week, or at least average, or at least 80 hours per month.
Okay.
They can also be in an employment training program or any other approved education or training activities. They can combine work and volunteer work all together in order to meet the requirements.
Okay, and so let's talk a little bit about exemptions, right?
Sure.
Obviously, you're already in the program, right? Or can you when you're applying for the program, you are exempt if you are under age 18 or 65 or older?
That's correct.
Okay. And then some of the other exemptions, maybe?
Sure. So the other exemptions is if you're medically certified, whether it's physically or mentally unfit for employment, if you're responsible, for example, for a dependent child under age 14, or, an incapacitated person who is a member of your SNAP household. If you're pregnant, and there's we don't really get this a lot within our program, but it is part of the HR 1 change to the, President Trump's bill, which is, if you're an Indian, urban Indian, California Indian, under the Indian Healthcare Improvement Act.
Okay.
So those are some of the exemptions that can apply to the ABODs.
How does that all work, though? Like, let's just say you become pregnant, right? Are you automatically exempt, or I imagine you gotta show some kind of. Do you just go to your office and show your belly? I don't know how that all would work out, right?
Right. So if you are in the SNAP program and you've been identified as an ABOT, now just to kind of back up though, that in December, we did a whole mass mail of letter to all the ABOTs that may be affected.
Okay.
Of course, those that are coming in as well are being informed of the requirement. But if you're trying to, as an ABOT, if you're trying to prove that you are exempt or meeting the requirement, so what do you need to submit? Well, of course, if you're working, then we would need an employment verification. If you are saying that you're medically unfit for work or physically unfit for work, then of course a doctor's certification. If you're in a training program, then of course, proof of attendance of a training program or education. Or if you're volunteering for, let's say you're volunteering at the school or the church or the mayor's office and you're doing like 20 hours a week, then a statement from them as well would be acceptable. So there's a lot of ways to prove that you're participating. And again, it could be multiple activities that add up to your 20 hours. But I really wanted to push, though, that if they don't have any other option to try to meet the requirement, we do have a SNAP employment training program within our department, within our division.
Okay.
And if you're enrolled into that program, then you also get support services like transportation reimbursement. We give you allowances for work-related reimbursement, whether you need clothing or maybe your car broke down, you need new brake pads. So there are different allowances that we can have in terms if you are enrolled in the SNAP Employment Training Program.
Nice. Real quick before we talk more about this training program, just so because this question comes up a lot with our listeners, what is submitting proof? Is there an actual document that we have to, like a legal document that we grab from the mayor's office that this is what I show public health that I'm exempt, or is it just any random note or email?
No. Well, of course, it has to be verified by someone in official authority. So, for example, if you're at the mayor's office, it could be a statement from the mayor's office, of course, on their letterhead to indicate this person is doing volunteer work for this many hours.
Okay, so it doesn't need to be like notary public or anything like that.
No.
Okay.
No.
Got it. All right. And then, back to the SNAP Employment Training Program. Do you get automatically enrolled?
No, because so our SNAP Employment Training Program is a volunteer program. And what that means is that the clients have an option. You have an option of trying to meet the work requirement another way, or you can use the SNAP ENT program to meet the requirement as well if you're having a hard time. But we really, really encourage that those that are having difficulty to enroll in the SNAP Employment Training Program. Because we partner directly with Guam Community College, we partner directly with the Department of Labor. So these are our partners that help us try to bring our participants either into let's say a boot camp or education or work experience. There's different programs that are allowed within those two entities that we work with.
Nice. And so, I mean, if we're enrolled into the employment training program and maybe we're not at GCC yet, or Department of Labor has not identified a place for us to work, that allows us to still continue to get our benefits because we're in this program?
That's correct.
Okay.
Because when you're enrolled into the SNAP Employment Training Program, we actually do track your hours.
Got it.
So every month, because that's one way to get your reimbursements that we provide for you, the support services, is you have to prove that you're committing to the hours that you're complying, and then we provide you the support services. So that's tracked. So everybody who comes through our doors under SNAP ENT does have an assigned case manager with our American Job Center folks under our SNAP ENT program. And again, like I said, they track the hours every month.
Okay. And do you already have I mean, because this is just around the corner, just one weekend and then it's June 1st, do you already have a number of people enrolled into the SNAP Employment Training Program?
They're slowly coming in, to be honest.
Yeah.
A lot of them that have been coming in are submitting exemptions, doctors, certifications, or they're a caretaker for someone who's disabled, incapacitated. So they're coming in more than before, but I don't have the exact number as of right now. But probably in the next couple of weeks, we'll probably get a better idea.
Well, the reason why I ask, right, because the number keeps popping out that 7,000 people are going to be taken off the rolls. That's concerning if 7,000 people and their families are no longer going to have these benefits and will go hungry and starve. And so I don't want to panic, and maybe it's that these people are actually no longer in poverty. Maybe they have found some jobs already. And so what does the real number look like of people starving?
I mean, like I said, the number that we reported earlier was, of course, in the budget hearing, was about a little over 6,000 that we were anticipating, right, that may be thrown off the rolls.
Yeah.
But again, people are still coming in.
Okay.
Our staff are still updating the cases to reflect the correct number. So is it alarming? Absolutely. But that's why we've been doing campaigns since December, sending out notices in January, and then again, just recent again to remind people that if they have not submitted their documentation to help them retain their benefits, and that's something that we kind of encourage people to do.
Understood.
But again, the other option is, if they have no other option, then you got the SNAP Employment Training Program as one of your ways to meet it.
And it's not like you haven't done this. I mean, we were having conversations with Director Teresa Arreola in 2025, in December of 2025, and then even in January, that this was coming. And so what I mean, I thought you guys were doing a tremendous job. The effort that you were taking to get all of your SNAP beneficiaries the information that they needed, that these changes were coming, right? And so are your phones getting off the hook now, saying, well, why is this happening so fast? Like, what are the concerns in the community?
We've been getting a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails, inquiries about, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose my benefits next month. What do I need to do? So we've been prepping the staff with tools and, information to share with the constituents. So it's all about empowering our clients to do what they need to do in order to kind of retain their benefits.
It's not like the letters didn't go out, though, right? From my understanding, the letters went out way before April 1st.
Yeah, we did it actually in December. Because Guam actually had an ABOD waiver up until the end of February of this year. But in November, around November, December is when, because of the changes in the bill, they took away all the ABOD exemption waiver or ABOD waivers for all the states that did have a current waiver. And then end of February, it's when they reinstated it because of a Rhode Island case that happened. So, I mean, which was okay because it gave our participants another additional 3 months to try to get into the program so that by June 1st, they wouldn't lose their benefits.
I really appreciate the work that your team does in all of public health, but especially your office, your division, right? Because as the administrator, if you can just remind our audience and myself too, the purpose of these SNAP benefits and why they're even provided to those in our community.
So, of course, the purpose of the SNAP is to have food on the table for the families. And that it is meant to be, so before it was known as food stamps.
Yes.
And then they changed it to change, like a kind of a mind shift, to say that it's a supplemental nutrition assistance program, meaning that it's not something that you're supposed to depend on. It's something to help supplement if you're working. We have a lot of people in our program that are working. They're doing 2-3 jobs just to make their ends meet, and put food on the table for their families. And the fact that they need to apply for assistance to help that's also part of what we're doing, right? Is supplementing what they cannot afford, especially now with the prices being so high in everything that we try to purchase in the store.
Yeah. And so when we look at the clients that you're helping, they have real challenges. We're not just handing out money for them to take advantage of anybody, right? And take advantage of federal tax. That's not its purpose, right?
That's correct.
Right.
That's correct. And and the with the president's HR 1 bill and OBB, the big, and it is also with Medicaid, right, is fraud, waste, and abuse.
Right.
They're really cracking down on the cases and making sure that people are reporting what they're supposed to report.
Right.
There's a whole big, national campaign about that.
But you have done an exceptional job of already being good stewards of federal tax monies, right? I mean, the percentage of fraud, waste, and abuse within the SNAP program here in Guam is low.
Yes. And, again, we also have an entity that separate, it's within our division, but of course separate from what we do, who take in all these, referrals for investigation that people are being reported for doing. And they do an outstanding job.
Right.
And, kudos to our investigations unit, because that is the hardest part. And that takes, their investigations a really, really long time to really prosecute a case.
Because even the federal government has also, the federal government has recognized your efforts, right? I mean, they've highlighted. I mean, obviously there is fraud, waste, and abuse all over the country, but we're not ranking high in that. Not in your division, right?
At least not that not that we're aware of in terms of the fraud waste, which is a good thing.
Right. I just wanted to highlight that part, right? Because when we're talking about, I agree 100%. If you are abusing a system, if you're gaming the system, then you don't deserve these benefits. So we just want to continue to mention that you have people that have real challenges today. I mean, we understand how expensive everything is.
It is.
Right? And we have a crisis when it comes to foster children. And we have so many issues, systemic issues that we're facing. And so this program exists to assist those that really need it. And there still are so many people on it. And so those that are coming off the rolls, there is assistance for you, especially this SNAP employment training program. But while you're in it, right, you still stay on the rolls, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
As long as you're meeting your requirement of the 20 hours a week, you're still on it.
Okay.
And then again, like I said, the advantage you get the other support services.
Yeah. Okay.
But I also wanted to say, too, that it's a very tough time for everybody right now, and my staff recognize that. And not many people may see it behind the scenes, but my staff work as hard as they can to try to process cases to get them the benefit. We're not here to not put food on the table, but we do have a legal obligation of when we process cases as carefully as we can. So, again, I'm like I said, behind the scenes, you don't see my staff that work after 5 trying to process their cases, because they do. They're not an 8 to 5 kind of.
Well, what are some of the reasons your clients might not be able to get some of this documents to you? I imagine it's transportation is a big issue.
Right. So we've made a lot of different accommodations.
Okay.
So we had people who were willing to, they could send it to our central BES email. And I know that in the press releases that we have indicated is that if you're going to send it via email, then just put, the subject line like ABOD question or ABOD. So that way, as our staff who are taking on the emails and looking at them, and they can kind of flag that to our staff and say, hey, here's an ABOD inquiry or an ABOD document that came in, so that we can go in and take care of that case.
Okay. Yeah. Is there anything that I might have missed? I appreciate this again. There are exemptions, again, under 18 or age 65 or older, medically certified as physically or mentally unfit for employment, responsible for a dependent child under the age of 14, or an incapacitated person who is a member of your SNAP household. You are exempt from SNAP general work requirements unless you are 60 to 64 and not otherwise exempt. You are pregnant. Again, like you shared, you are an Indian, urban Indian, or California Indian as defined under the Indian Healthcare Improvement Act.
Correct.
Yeah. Did I miss anything else that you wanted to make sure that we highlighted? I appreciate this. I mean, June 1st is just around the corner, but I know just from the conversations that I've had with your director and with Julia Rivera, who is an exceptional PIO, that you have been putting the word out that these dates were coming way before even April 1st.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. So we're good then. We touched on everything?
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, we did.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Again, more information about the ABOD work requirement changes or the Guam SNAP and E&T program. That's, again, the employment training program. Review, there's an FAQ, so I'll look at that. But then the phone number is 671-300-8853, 300-8853 or 8872. And so I imagine you're getting phone calls constantly, right? And so they can also email at centralbes@dphss.guam.gov, centralbes@dphss.guam.gov. Thank you so much, Administrator. I appreciate this, and I appreciate your team more so. Take care. Have a great weekend.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Okay.
You too.
All right.
Okay, bye-bye.
Adjust. Let's see here. We'll take the break and then we'll break out some of these FAQs just so we can make sure that everybody is understanding what is happening. And for the most part, I think we understand we have been understanding that this isn't a surprise. We didn't wake up to this.
Not at all.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, they also, I mean, of course, though, even the changes, right? I mean, because is that a different program between SNAP, or is this the same one that they announced on April 1st?
That was the exemption, remember?
Okay.
Right? That we were exempted all the way, right? And however, again, it was, let me just read their statement because they did talk about the separate federal, other SNAP changes already underway. Separate federal SNAP changes have also been rolling out. Many categories of lawfully present immigrants lost eligibility on April 1st of 2026.
Okay.
Some households have seen benefit reductions because of changes in how utility costs are counted, and then additional funding and administrative changes affecting states begin later in 2026 and then in 2027. For Guam, SNAP does not operate the same way it does in states because Guam uses the Nutrition Assistance Program. And so, however, federal policy changes can still affect how food assistance programs are funded and administered in U.S. territories. So,
all right.
Again, common exemptions include people under 18, over 64, pregnant individuals, people with physical or mental disabilities that prevent working, caregivers of children under 14, people caring for a disabled or sick family member, and certain participants in approved training programs. GCC, like she shared, Department of Labor is also assisting in their employment training program.
Nice.
All right, we'll take the break. Actually, you want me to do traffic
let's
first?
do traffic, and then we'll go to break, and then we'll just come back to our listeners. All right, 4:35 in the afternoon. It's once again that time to check in the roads of Guam as he helps you out with your daily commute, moving you forward on the roads of Guam. Standing by, Pauly Suba.
All right, Route 1 starting to see some congestion. It's mostly mild, especially in the Upper Tumon area between John F. Kennedy High School and St. John's. I am seeing some heavy congestion. I wouldn't take Hamburger Road.
Okay.
You'll be stuck on the other side. It'll take you a while to get onto Route 16. And then also over by Fatima Road, and across from Fatima Road is Dededo Flea Market. So there is some congestion there as well. Route 8 looks pretty decent, headed towards the Tri intersection. 10 as well, and also 16 until you start making your way down to Harmon Loop. Once again, helping you move forward on this Friday. Well, that's Guam Auto Spot, right? Call them up. Here's their number, 478 Auto. You can also view their inventory on their website at guamautospot.com.
Sometimes the best solution to a tough problem is a little bit of wine and a lot of time. Welcome to the National Day Spotlight for May 29th.
National Coq au Vin Day celebrates a pillar of French cuisine, but was once a desperate solution in peasant kitchens. The name literally means rooster with wine, and it was designed to solve a specific culinary problem. Unlike tender young chickens, an old rooster was notoriously tough and virtually inedible through standard roasting. Farm workers discovered that by slow simmering the bird in a bath of red wine for hours, the connective tissues would finally break down, transforming the meat into a tender masterpiece. Enhanced with mushrooms and pearl onions, this poor man's stew was eventually elevated to a gourmet standard by world-class chefs. It's a delicious reminder that with the right technique, even the most difficult ingredients can be turned into a feast.
Isn't that funny? It was a poor man's food, and now it's 5-star.
There's a lot that went the other way, too, like ice cream and chocolate used to be for the royals and for the rich.
And now we can all have it.
Yeah, so it goes both ways sometimes.
It sure does. We're also celebrating National Paperclip Day and National 529 Day. I'm Alice Anderson.
And I'm Wallo Anderson with National Day Calendar, reminding you to celebrate every day.
If you're looking for world-class website hosting at a fair price, Pair Networks is your best choice. Whether you're a professional web designer or a beginner just getting your site online, Pair Networks has a web hosting plan that's right for you. Log on and learn more at pair.com. That's PAIR.com. Pair Networks, world-class web hosting at a fair price. Visit us at pair.com. Pair Networks.
Registering a domain name on the web? You should know about Pairnick. Pairnick offers .com names at a great price with quality service you expect. Because Pairnick is powered by internet leader Pair Networks. Whether you need a domain name for business or personal use, Pairnick is your best choice. Remember Pairnick when you need a domain name. That's PAIRNIC.com. Pairnick.
Introducing the all-new Subway Wraps. Now you can make any footlong a wrap. Light, delicious, and satisfying without weighing you down. Subway Wraps make fueling your day easier than ever with bold flavors and fresh ingredients. Try the cheesy garlic steak wrap today. Subway, eat fresh, feel good.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
Celebrate Father's Day with Power 98 and Wave 105 as we honor our first heroes. To enter, send a WhatsApp message or call in and share your funniest or most heartfelt dad story. Winners will be revealed from June 15th to June 19th, and you can win your dad a special bundle prize. Stay locked in to Power 98 and Wave 105. Brought to you by Guam Plaza Resort, Nana's Cafe, Roots Grill House, AutoWorks, Jollibee, Proline, and Cream and Butter.
Balanced, fair, thoughtful. Wave 105 FM.
Welcome back to the show. This is Wave 105, the bright side. Here's the number, 471-922-1051 or 2. The phone lines are wide open. You can talk to this gentleman right here, the host of The Bright Side, Mr. Pauly Suba.
All right, welcome back. Viva Fitness.
Viva!
So some of the SNAP ABOD FAQs is what makes an ABOD applicant different from a general SNAP applicant. So in addition to the regular requirements of a general SNAP applicant, an ABOD must also meet a general work requirement of 80 hours a month, 20 hours a week, in order to receive benefits. What work can be counted to meet general work requirements? A lot of what Christine mentioned already is on this. Paid employment, self-employment, volunteer work, in-kind work, participation in the SNAP employment and training program. You can do these in any combination in order to meet the requirement of 80 hours a month. And they're not making it so difficult. Like, it's not like you have to go get a notary, right? A notarized document. It's not like you have to go to public health and get the exact application, you know, a letterhead from a mayor's office indicating as such.
Yeah.
So your employer saying as such.
So as far as the hours are clocked in, right? I mean, I used to work for HRD during after Typhoon Paka, were all the displaced workers. So I was kind of like a paymaster, if you will. So there was like so many people that were put out in so many different agencies, and it was my job to go. I oversaw a couple agencies, right? And so it was my job to go out there and make sure that everybody was at work, and the hours that they are claiming that they worked, it had to all be, you know, vetted pretty much, and then we pay them accordingly, right? So with this, with all the participants that are allowing these ABOD workers to come in, is there going to be like checks and balances in terms of public health is going to send somebody out? Did Christine answer that?
Yeah, they track their hours.
Okay.
Yeah, there's they're especially through the SNAP employment training program, they're definitely tracking hours, but also, I mean, we have to be responsible individuals too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're exempt, obviously you have the reasons to be exempt.
And no party system.
But if they've already delegated that you're an ABOD, then I mean, just pick up the phone. Everything is about communication or emailing, right? I mean, if you're unable to do that, then obviously you're exempt.
I'm gonna call my party at the mayor's. Hey, I'm not coming in today, but just put me out.
Right, because you've already proven it through. You know, the doctor has already said so.
Yeah.
And you have the proper documents that share that.
Yeah.
And so I see very little reasoning to be all up in arms.
Yeah.
Especially maybe if it was last minute, but it's not last minute.
Yeah, now this has been going on, at least the notifications have been coming out for a couple months now.
Right.
This is something that, you know, you can't be surprised. Like, what happened? I didn't know.
Sure.
No, I'm pretty sure everybody knows. And even at that, right, I mean, people that, you know, because I know some people that are actually on the program, and they also, you know, pretty much put out the word like, hey, look, if you have this benefit and you can work, you may want to call public health.
Mayor's offices are like the greatest place to do it because you don't have to travel far. Mayors could use the assistance. Melissa Savares has talked about those so many times about her experience, you know, with those that were volunteering at the mayor's office. Another individual who does amazing work in the community is Juanita Blas over at Isengsong Corazon, right? Corazon Isengsong y Corazon, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so she's over there in Dededo. And so she's got plenty of work that needs to happen over there.
You know,
so you can go and volunteer your time there.
You know, we have this thing with GDOE, right? And we have to meet a certain requirement as far as public health is concerned, considering that they're the ones that are going in there, making sure that, okay, everything is good, the facility is great and everything. I don't know if GDOE is taking part in this ABOD program, but they should. I mean, you know, we already know that the schools need to be ready. And so
especially
now,
for the summer.
It's, I mean,
during
now,
the summer.
yeah. And so they have like 2 months to put this together and say, okay, the final month of July, we're going to start hitting the schools and everything, because we're going to see the old system that got it work. Oh, we need help. We can't cut the grass. And so what does the parents do? And everybody that can, able bodies, they go down there and cut the grass and paint the schools. And, here you have a workforce that is going to receive their benefits. Their benefits are not going to stop.
Yeah.
So I think GDOE, the board should, work together with public health and say, okay, we're going to need them. So let us know how many people we can have.
Right.
So I mean, I'm spitballing here, but it is a good program, and you don't lose your benefits, and you get to help out the community too as well. So,
right.
and if you got kids too as well, it's going to be even better. They should work with the mayor's office if the ABOD program individuals are there and work. GDOE, whatever schools are in the village, work with them. That would be my take on that.
Mm-hmm. Hold on, I'm putting this.
Did you get my?
I did. Real quick before we move on. Hunt, Fish, and Fix says, realistically, we were talking about sheltering in place. How do you expect the total population of Guam to shelter in a facility in a short amount of time? Shelter in place is the fastest way to protect the largest amount of people in the shortest amount of time. Yeah, it's what we do downrange, for sure. So we just need to plan accordingly, and everybody needs to understand, well, what is the plan? So we don't even know the plan.
Wow.
When it comes to man-made threats heading in our direction.
Yeah.
So I just put the email centralbes@dphss.guam.gov with the subject line ABAWD letter inquiry. Right? So if you want more information on SNAP benefits and the new regulations, email them. Right? So centralbes@dphss.guam.gov. And so that email address is on our YouTube channel, dated today, May 29. And there's a couple other questions. When will these newly identified ABODs be required to meet the requirements? And so like we were talking with Christine, the letters have been sent out since January 1st. Right? DPHSS has already sent out notifications to all affected households. Therese Areola was on the radio even before January 1st talking about this. We were talking to her in February as well, letting everybody know that even April 1st was just around the corner. And so will my benefits be affected immediately on January 1st? No, obviously. We're already on June 1st. And so, again, this FAQ came out on January 23rd. And they sent those letters out to all of their clients beginning January 1st. And so the criticism of why am I only knowing now and what's happening, I don't know, because it has not, this is something that has not been a secret. There was a lot of fighting going on even before H.R. 1 was signed. However, it is law. So you did send me something. This is former Senator, Attorney Tom Fisher, right?
Yeah, I look like, I don't know. I didn't really see the background, but from, I was watching.
He's also official.
Oh, okay.
He has
so
officially
then he did file,
filed, because this looks like he's over at the Guam Election Commission.
And I just read the caption where he's calling out Doug.
Why only Doug and Phil?
Because maybe they're
the front runners.
Front runners, and then
calling out Doug and Phil.
And then on top of that, Phil, I believe, was appointed.
Yeah. Let's just hear it.
Okay.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, you may want to bring it close, your mic. Yeah.
Well, I just want to make sure that, let's see. Oh, that's why. That's why. Okay. Because they're the only three that have officially filed. So that's why he's only saying Doug and Phil. That's fair.
Okay. All right.
So he has officially filed. That's Senator Tom Fisher, former senator, and he is calling on Moylan and Tidinko, who have also officially filed to debate.
Doug filed yesterday, I believe?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes. So, yeah, he wants to debate.
God, it's going to be like a mock trial.
I'm
type
down.
thing.
I want to see
I
it.
want to watch it.
The Guam Bar Association usually puts these debates on.
Man, who do I know at the Guam Bar? I know a lot of attorneys, but I don't know if I could get in. Maybe as a guest.
Maybe
I would definitely love to go.
No,
over
they
there.
open it up to media.
They do?
Yeah, the debate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, because there's some places that they do, but I don't. Some it's just for them. Some organizations.
Well, media gets to go because we're going to cover it, right? I mean, how else does the rest of the community know what was said, unless the media doesn't,
No, I get it. Yeah.
Get the invite to sit at least in the back and not eat lunch.
I mean, because you have like these meetings. Oh, you have to be sponsored in. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you have to be a guest. I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are fees, right? Let's see here. In the 5 o'clock hour, I did want to talk to Mayor Jesse Allig, right? So he's the mayor of PT. There is a sea festival that is happening Saturday and Sunday. So I know I'm going to be there on both days. So I really just
That's right. You're hosting, right?
Yeah, I wanted
to be
to
up on stage.
Be up on stage for not long though, because the talent on stage is impressive, and so I'll hold off on that conversation about who's going to be on stage until we get Mayor Allig on. But yeah, there's 2 days of events. Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. over at Santos Park, and then there are and then on May 31st, 11 to 8 as well. So Saturday and Sunday. Like I said, we'll get into the details when we have Mayor Jesse Allig on to talk about all of that. Somebody's on the line? Yeah. Hafaday, Wave 105, you're on the air.
Hey, Pauly Suba. Is this Pauly Suba?
This is Hafaday.
Yeah, that AI or IA's voice got to go, man. That's not you.
It's not me now. Yeah. No, I'm a little bit under the weather.
Under the weather.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, sir.
Cola. Anyway, whatever it is,
it's not the.
It's got to go. 105.1 ain't the radio station with the little Pauly Suba on board. You know what I mean?
Right.
But anyway, man, yeah. I called that day when I called when Teresa.
Yes, she was on yesterday.
Yeah. Guess where I was at?
Where were you?
I was over at the LT and Tina Muna Barnes fundraiser rally over in Jigo.
Oh, nice. What were your thoughts?
Yeah.
What did you think of
it? A lot of food.
Nice.
I went to just listen to what they have to say,
What'd they say?
Oh, they said a lot of stuff. Roads, schools, Simon Sanchez, you name it. They said it, what we've been saying for the last 50 million decades. It just goes over and over and over again. And how things are going to be better if we put them in and all that kind of good stuff. And both old Democrat and old Democrat, Republican Congress, you name it, Guam's going to be, they tell you what you want to hear when election time comes. And then here we are, we're still fighting the dust, man. We should have been sitting pretty long time ago. I know, I've been here way longer than you have. I may not have the smarts like you do and cross my T and dot my I's and finish my school. And I took journalism too with Diane Paris, man, with Nestor Lecanto and what's his name? Tall, skinny guy. What's his name? I forgot his name.
Robert Klitsky?
No. He was a news reporter with Nestor Lecanto at the time.
Oh, Jason Salas?
Yeah.
Okay.
But half of the time I wasn't in class or I was doing something else. But yeah, man, I wish I can talk like you guys and research like you guys and pick it up and know what I'm talking about and use your how do you say who, what, when, where, why, how? But I don't. But I'm not that stupid that I'm learning from you, Pauly, and I learned from Cape 57 and I learned from Easter 61 with Jess Anderson and Tone and Jess Concepcion. I go way back, and we go way back. And I remember when you used to still wear your tie to say the news, man. And it is what it is, and here we are. Election time is coming, and we put the right people in, and hopefully put the right people in, because we've been putting the right people in for so long, and we're still stuck in the woods, man. Our schools are still, our cafeteria is worse, the lunch is worse, our streets, you name it, they put up new streets and it's falling apart already. No street sweepers, no preventive maintenance. We still need that traffic light over at Stuma Garden. There's going in and out of there, Pauly. If you live there, you're not going to want to go in and out of there doing traffic, man, because people are flying by, left, going up, going down, and just to get out of there or go in there, you got to be very careful. Someone's going to smack you. But does anybody put a traffic light there? They got one down at Ukudu High School and one at Waisang. In between is a Stuma Garden. And people are flying up and down that street like crazy. And, I was there last night just to hear what they got to say, because like I said, Therese Talari for governor, man, we need to change this movement and see what happens, because like the governor, like they were saying that they did that, they did this, they did that, distraction, all that kind of crap. We need to make this island better, man, because I got to live here and you got to live here and our grandkids got to live here and our kids got to live here. $500,000 homes, there you go, food stamp, SNAP. If you're over 65, but on that, you better find a job. There's nothing wrong with that, man, but it's hard sometimes on this island, man, and they should keep people on that need it, that might not be able to get anywhere, because not everybody's sitting on a golden platter like some people do. Some people who were born on a silver platter. It's getting harder and harder to live on this island. Affordable homes, $500,000 out of home. You guys coming from, man. But yeah, I know time's up, and OG's going to be in, and
he'll be in a bit.
Just trying to make things better, and you got to get rid of that AI voice of yours, man. Because
I'm trying. I'm drinking a lot of water. I'm chewing on some Ricola. So maybe by Monday.
And AI, it's not. A lot of times, all we need is common sense, man. AI,
right.
One day, these machines are going to take over the world, and us humans are nothing, because a lot of times we can't even fix our potholes, man. And a lot of people get paid, and they have to go to the bank every 2 weeks, use a wheelbarrow, take their money, and where we are, we're stuck. We got junk cars all over the place, man. You name it. But don't mind me, Pauly.
I don't mind you at all.
Say it. There's not always happy. There's other sides of the coin, man, and we need to make this place better for our children and our grandchildren. Because when you and me are gone, and Ryan, where are they gonna go? Not everybody's made to be scientists. I'm meant to be. There's two sides of the coin. There's positive and negative. There's rich and the poor, and there's poor and the rich, and you name it. Those are born already made. So anyway, don't mind me, man, because sometimes it gets, you see something, say something, and I've been saying something, but is anybody listening? And I don't need to talk story, man. Hook me up with the FBI, Pauly, so I can show them some doors to open. Maybe Pete Sumpters won't be able to open it, or Doug Mullen. I'll open it for them, and I'll show them what's going on. Ain't no snitch, man, but when you spit on my mother's grave and you steal her own house, and you go and you take $400,000 ARPA money, whatever they call it, and get away with it, no wonder why we talk about our children and what they call it, mental health. That's not just for people who have mental issues or drug issues or some of us like me, we have issues with what's going on this island, and some of us have PTSD because of what's going on, and we need to hear some people out, because everybody's got their hand in that cookie jar. No one wants to say nothing. I don't care if they say they don't, but they do. Hook me up that back, buddy, and then we'll see. And if
I don't know anybody over at the FBI.
Joe, man, but no one's trying to hook me up because I want to say some stuff. And They might say, whoa, we want to hear more what you got to say, man. This guy's got something going on here. And they sound stupid. That's Tony Lamaretta. I'll tell you, that guy that just really listen to him, because sometimes it makes sense. Tony, around Tony? Like you, bro. Yes, right, buddy?
Oh, yeah, I miss Tony. Senator Tony, we miss him. I got to run. Kaduku, thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Okay, take care. All right, KGUM FM in Dededo, Guam. We're going to take this break. On the other side, we'll talk to the mayor of PT, Mayor Jesse Alec, who is also the president of the Mayor's Council of Guam, right here on Wave 105. Biba Betness.
KGUM FM, Dededo. Powered by Glimpses Media.
Some states are turning their public health agencies into immigration informants. I'm Katherine Houghton, and this is your KFF Health News Minute. At least 5 states require their public health agencies to flag whether a Medicaid patient's immigration status is in question. The Trump administration has ordered Medicaid data be used to enforce immigration laws. Studies find that such measures deter people from seeking health care, even if they're in the country legally. It's hard to hold down a job when you're hungry. That's what health researchers are saying about new, stricter rules for SNAP benefits. Last year, the GOP-controlled Congress expanded work requirements for people to qualify for food assistance. Supporters say these mandates get people into the workforce, but studies show that in some cases, employment dropped after stricter rules took effect. Those who don't meet the new work requirements are limited to 3 months of food assistance every 3 years. There's more at kffhealthnews.org.
Giving college students a real-world look at product development. This is Jeff Gilbert with the Core Chronicles. Kristen Wall of the Argonne Laboratories is part of the EcoCar Challenge. It's 20 university teams competing to develop products over a 4-year period.
The 4 years is intentional. We design it so that it really reflects that real-world vehicle development process that is just like industry.
Some teams are working with GM on a connected electric vehicle. Some are working with Stellantis on a rugged off-road hybrid.
You know, our concept was that we wanted these two choices to reflect kind of the choices that consumers have in the marketplace.
The teams have different tracks for which they are awarded points. The team with the most points over 4 years is the winner. With the Car Chronicles, I'm Jeff Gilbert, CBS News.
It's time to move you forward through your daily commute. He's going to let you know where to go and where not to go. On the roads of Guam, standing by, Mr. Pauly Suba.
All right. Checking out our handy-dandy glimpses of Guam traffic app. 5:04 in the afternoon. Looking at some of the delays. Again, Route 10A headed down towards Route 1. I'm seeing major congestion there. Mild congestion between Chinese Park and St. John's School on Marine Corps Drive, and then it gets even more congested once you pass the intersection that takes you down to Tumon and still staying on Route 1.
That T-Zone Parkway is...
Yeah. Actually, there's heavy congestion heading southbound on Route 1, getting down to Tumon.
Heading down to Tumon.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, and heads up, too. They have moved the Tumon Night Market.
Okay.
So it's just down the street, right in front of Tumon Sands Plaza.
That's where it's going to be at?
Yes.
That's interesting.
That's the new spot. So it's not at Pleasure Island anymore. Yeah.
Okay, can we park at Tumon Sands? Because they got good parking over there.
Yeah. I mean, I don't see why you couldn't unless they blocked off traffic before you get there.
Yeah.
You know, because they got the barriers.
Oh, well, you know, I got a perfect idea.
You got the hookup?
Yeah, no, you go over there, right? You go to Chili's, right? You get some great food.
Yes.
Then you go down and just, you know, go Silver Dinner shopping over there at the block party.
So the Tumon Night Market has officially moved. They're going to be this Sunday over just basically right in front of Tumon Sands.
Nice.
Yeah, so no longer Pleasure Island. So just be aware of that. That's this Sunday. Once again, helping you move forward right here on Wave 105. That's Guam Auto Spot. Schedule that test drive today. Call them up, 478-AUTO. View their inventory on their website at guamautospot.com.
The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the show hosts, guests, and callers, and do not necessarily reflect the views of the staff or management of Wave 105.1 FM, Glimpses Media, or our partners. We strive to provide quality, respectful, and engaging content, and we welcome you to participate in the conversation. Thank you for tuning in to Wave 105.1 FM. Enjoy the show.
When a warrior faces adversity, he fights through it. He finds a way. Freedom isn't free. Rolling strong. Belief. Believe you can, and you will.
Wheelchairs for Warriors provides mobility solutions to veterans and first responders injured in the line of duty. Join the mission and visit wheelchairsforwarriors.org.
Graduation is here, and it's time to celebrate. Host your reception at Guam Plaza Resort and receive a free one-night stay with a minimum of 50 guests. Call 671-649-7760 today or visit our food and beverage office at Guam Plaza Resort. Let's celebrate together.
Turn up the celebration this summer. Celebrate grads, moms, and dads and give them a gift they'll love with a Chili's gift card. Purchase a $50 gift card and receive an added $10 coupon as a bonus. Only at Chili's, where great memories happen here.
The road to Adelup is set. This time, we sit down with Democrat candidates Senator Joe San Agustin and former Senator Dwayne San Nicolas. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 8th on the Wave 105 YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a Glimpses of Guam radio station.
Whoa, oh, mercy, mercy me. Oh, things ain't what they used to be. No, no. Where did all the blue skies go? Poison is the wind that blows from the north and south and east. Whoa, mercy, mercy
Part of doing the producer job is playing good music. You know, this song, right, when Marvin Gaye recorded it, Barry Gordy did not even want to release it. It's like, man, it's just too controversial. You're talking about the war. You're talking about all the bad stuff that's happening in the world. But around that time, they you know, this was during the 60s protest and, you know, all of that. So it was pretty much, we would have never heard that song.
Well, this song is so iconic because of what it...
So the story that I heard was that it was one of the producers. He actually produced some 45s, and he just kept passing it to like all these DJs, right? And they played it, and everybody loved it. And Barry Gordy was like, okay, I was wrong. And it sold like million-plus records, you know.
Right.
And it went on to be one of their biggest hits Motown ever had.
Oh, because you feel it. You feel every word, you know. And so, I mean, it's beautifully sung.
Mm-hmm.
But then even the lyrics itself, so much power behind those statements, right?
And you think about what's going on today, remember, that was like early 70s, right?
Yeah.
You know, and it still resonates because of what's happening today.
Mm-hmm.
Drugs, the fish is bad, everything that we report on the news, the war and whatnot, right? It's still going on. I mean, we haven't learned our lesson yet. So kudos to the producer that put that out, because Barry Gordy he didn't want to put it out. Yeah. I mean, it was literally locked in the vault for like 2 years before it actually went out. Yeah. Sad.
Well, we do want to thank our sponsors again of the BrightSide. That's Chili's Grill and Bar. At Chili's, more life, great food, and memories happen here. Subway, you got to refresh to be fresh. And GTA, we start with you. Bittersweet, I'm just getting the news now that if you don't mind trying to reach out to Mayor Jesse Alec, do you have his number? Yeah. Because we want to talk to him about his event. But this is bittersweet. I mean, he deserves it. Senor Joe Kanata has retired from the Guam Preservation Trust. Looking at a release from their Facebook account, it says, Sazu's Maasi Joe Kanata, as we end Preservation Month, we also bid farewell to our Chief Program Officer who retires from the Guam Preservation Trust today. Fair winds and following seas, Joe. We look forward to your new journey and continued advocacy for historic preservation in our island, our region, and our nation. And that's a statement from the Guam Preservation Trust themselves. And so it is bittersweet because what he has done, even just recently, has been impressive, right? I mean, the work that he's doing over at the Guam Preservation Trust. I know he's been working alongside so many mayors too, just to even identify, well, not even just the mayors, the whole island. There was a call to action just a couple of weeks ago, on finding places in Guam that we can preserve historically, right, and make and put it all on record too. So much so, the whole island could be a part of that. Right, it can be recognized as such because it doesn't. There's so much history with everything that has happened. So when you look at colonization, when you look at the war and the relics that are around because of it, the entire island is practically historic. I guess historic place. I don't want to say monument, but historic. It has significance. And then he was also doing the call out to the whole community as well, as to sharing your story. Share your stories of these places that have so much meaning to you. And you don't even have to go to the war. You don't have to go hundreds of years ago or thousands of years ago to identify. Even in today's era, in the contemporary era, if there is a place here on Guam that has historical value to you, they wanted to know those stories. And so we wish Senor Joe Kanata the very best in his retirement. So like I said, bittersweet to hear that he is retiring from the Guam Preservation Trust, but he deserves it. He's done such great work, and so I hope he enjoys his retirement. I have a funny feeling, though, that just because he's retiring doesn't mean he's not going to be doing any work, though. He might even be doing more work just for no money. Do we have him on the line?
We sure do.
Okay. Hold on. Okay. Hafaday, Mayor.
Hafaday.
All right. So, I mean, we usually talk to you after a mayor's council meeting, and we hype you up as the president, but we really want to hype up your village of PT this time, right?
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yes, man, we have a big weekend in PD. It is Iriquesanitasi. It is our inaugural festival. We've never had one since I've been mayor, and I think the big deal about it is that we really want it to be as educational, and as fun as possible. So without the support of GBB and GPT, we could not have done it. I think the important part of this entire festival is that we really will be showcasing our traditional seafaring practices and methods, preparing for navigation, and our traditional fishing methods and demonstrations as well. And so we have a lot of partners in this. Definitely the different departments in the University of Guam, the Island Wisdom Committee, the Marine Lab, the Center for Island Sustainability, and Sea Grant. So it's been a big deal for us in planning. And then, of course, the Department of Agriculture is very instrumental in helping us with, recommendations for exhibits and demonstrations. Fisheries will be here. The Guam Coral Reef Initiative has been very, very, key to a lot of our planning. And so after all these meetings, we decided that it would be best and it would be the most fun to have mangrove discovery tours as part of the festival and snorkeling tours. So they are all free. The mangrove tours, though, are full.
Okay.
We have it both on Saturday and Sunday.
Wow.
We actually added more sessions, and they filled up. And I guess, I've always talked about the mangroves because growing up, mangroves, for us, it was like you had to stay out of there. There was just, you had no business, you had no business in the mangroves.
Right.
And it was only until I had a marine, I had an environmental biology class at UOG that made me go into the mangroves,
Right.
and I'm like, I don't know what we're doing there, but and so now I know why that exists and why it's so important. So I wanted to also make sure that we could provide that as part of our festival because it ties into the riches of the sea.
Sure.
And it's a snorkeling tours. We're still accepting. We added more sessions for the snorkeling tours because we realized that that's fun and cool for the kids, but it's a family event. So adults are able to snorkel as well. And so we still have some available slots. So if you go online and you choose a date and a time, and if it's available, you can still register, and they're all free. And the snorkeling tours are actually being hosted by Fisheye Marine Park, which we're so grateful for. So you don't have to bring anything because Fisheye will provide everything. Just come ready to swim and ready to snorkel.
Wow,
And,
so much effort into all of this.
Oh, yeah, we did. I mean, it was a lot of thought to, we wanted to make it, like I said, fun but educational at the same time. And so why is snorkeling important? Because we want them to see what the reef has. We want them to know why it's important to, to keep the environment the way we're teaching children in school and what we promote, regarding sustainability. And especially here in PD because we're surrounded by it. So I'm just so excited about it. It has been a lot of planning, but that, it's great. And then here at the park, I'm at Santos Park right now, so just seeing the last-minute setup for everything, and it's going very well. The seafaring groups are out putting their things together and everyone else. So it'll be a lot of fun. The parking, I have to tell everybody, is that the parking is across the street at an open lot across the Santos Park, and there's a crosswalk, and we'll have golf carts and mules to transport those who are not willing to make that little trek across Marine Corps Drive.
Yeah.
Well, when you talk about the snorkeling tour, right? Because I'm already there to register, which I was able to find through the Instagram, which you have a dedicated Instagram account, and then you can see in the highlights. You click on one of the highlights, and then you can register. Click on the Snorkeling Discovery Tours highlight, and then you press that. It'll take you to the registering. How do they get over there? Because you just explained that you were over at Santos Park, but the snorkeling tour is over at the
Pungan Beach
Fisheye,
Park at Fisheye. Yes.
Right.
So you actually have to, if you register, you'll receive an email, and they're going to tell you what to do. And basically, whatever time you sign up for, you go to. You just drive to Fisheye. You park at Fisheye.
Got it.
And you get ready at Fisheye, and you actually enter the ocean over there.
Okay.
So it is. We have 3 different areas for the festival.
Yes.
It's not all in one park. But then when you're done snorkeling at Fisheye, you can come on over to the park and enjoy the food and enjoy the entertainment, and of course the exhibits that we have. Right, all the demonstrations, the traditional demonstrations, seafaring and fishing.
Yeah, Mayor, I got a question. I read your flyer, and there was talk. I mean, I saw something about flea market.
Oh, so flea market. So how that started? Oh my gosh! So can I just tell you that in honor? I mean, well, maybe not in honor, but I would like to say that the late Manny Duenas and I had many conversations about what we were going to do here in PT, and he was, he was never shy about telling me no, or you're not doing it right. or you're not supposed to do it that way.
Typical Manny.
Yeah, you do it this way. And so a part of it was you should involve the local fishermen. And how do we involve the local fishermen? And it was through what we considered it would be a swap meet. And so fishermen can come to buy, sell, and trade their goods. So we did have some very interested fishermen, and so they'll be here to do that on Sunday. So we're excited to see that as well.
Okay, nice. So what time is that? So I want to make sure I get the.
That's going to go on 11 to 8.
Okay.
It'll be throughout there's not a certain time.
Okay.
We did put a certain time initially, but now we're just kind of opening it up for the entire.
Nice.
Because I want to be able to get
festival.
the fresh. I want to be able to get the fresh octopus before Doag shows up.
Oh my gosh! Well, see, that's another thing, right? That's another thing. It's that we're in a conservation area, so I really, 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 really want to let everyone understand the importance of the conservation area. It sucks that we can't go out and fish for the lugwa that's swimming out here because there's plenty lugwa right now. But that parrotfish that helps the coral reef, right? That supports our reef ecosystem. So we're not able to harvest parrotfish here in PD. So, but you can harvest everything else, or not everything else, whatever's on that permit.
Right.
Yeah.
So those are the things that we want to share. We want to talk about. And again, this is the beginning, and I say inaugural because I really want to put a lot of work into making this bigger and better every year that we can, and more informative and educational.
Mary,
fun.
Yeah, Mary, I got another question. It's a little bit off topic from the Sea Fest or the event that's going on, but the other, I think it was like probably sometime last week, I went to the Emerald
Valley.
Yeah. And then I ended up passing by the old USO area. And I noticed that there's nothing going on. It's gated and everything. Have you ever talked to the military about possibly using that place?
As a matter of fact, we did. I did send a request to use it, and it was denied.
Wow.
Yeah, we were denied. I mean, that just kind of,
Well, I thought that land was.
I could talk a lot about that and feel frustrated about it, but at the same time, I wonder why we still even have to ask them for permission when the NDAA in 2017 transferred that over to the government of Guam.
I was just going to ask that. I thought that was already on the list for return.
It was 2017 NDAA. It was. It is.
And somebody took it back?
I'm not sure what was going on, and everything was going through the local government from Adelup to Attorney General's office, Ancestral Lands Commission. It was going through those motions, and then the next thing you know, it's now we have to go back to the Navy, and I was like, gosh, I just need to finish the festival, and when I'm done, I'll go and deal with that.
Because that'll be a great place to do the flea market like back in the day, because I remember going over there.
I mean, everybody, everyone has great ideas of what we want to do with it, and ultimately, the council, my council and I have talked about it, and we really want it to be recreational. We're not trying to, we don't want it to be sold to anybody. We don't want it to be some big monstrosity that we're not able to enjoy the beach. Maybe we can improve it to be recreational, but that would, really be the municipal. We want it to be done at the municipal level.
Well, when I run into Congressman James Moylan, I'm going to ask him about it.
I mean, I think he probably could. Well, hopefully, he could help us get an answer.
Yeah.
Like I said, once I'm done with the festival, I'll work on it. I know that the governor's office has also been, they've kept me in the loop, and we've been working together on it. We don't know why we have to ask permission, but we had to. So, Anyway, somebody has the keys to it because there's a lock on it, and there are certain people that get to use it, right? And we all know who uses that part, but it's certainly not us. It's not our community. It's not. It's just not us. There are two groups that use that all the time, and you wonder why. I'm not happy about it, but I don't want to cry about it without any facts. So,
sure.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, when they do open it and they allow us to use it, it could be incorporated with the second annual.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and that's exactly what we wanted to do. I think that's kind of what threw a wrench in the entire process. Was the goal was to have the fisherman swap meet over there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, when we look at, there's a traditional fishing demonstration and competition. Is that in the water?
Yeah, so that'll
Okay.
be on Saturday.
Yeah.
The Department of Agriculture Fisheries,
Okay.
their setup is that's all with them.
Okay.
I think they're doing a great job at putting all of that together. They're going to bring in a boat to you to kind of the guests can get onto the boat and cast from there. That'll be part of the whole experience.
Right. And I'm super excited for that Fish Caligan competition.
Oh yeah, and
On
then that
Sunday,
Celebrate is
right?
actually on Sunday.
Yes.
So that'll be done on Sunday.
Yeah. Do you
So
already
we're
have a
looking
list
forward
of
to that.
a list of
I
people?
don't. I don't have a list of people. Our event people have that. I
Okay.
just know that we do have some.
Nice.
We have some people signed up for it. So yeah.
Well,
It'll be-
obviously there's something for everybody on both days.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot going on
Yes.
for everybody on both days.
Absolutely. Your lineup is insane. Like, I would pay money to watch some of these people, and they're all showing up both Saturday and Sunday. Is Boomer, when you
Yeah,
say
I
Boomer, is
know.
this Chris Boomer?
Yeah, it is.
Wow. 2:45 to 3. Great job
Thanks.
putting it all together.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It'll be a fun weekend,
Yeah.
We just need a. Oh my gosh, it'll be fun, and thank you for helping us advertise it and market it to everybody. We hope people will
sure.
come out and check us out here in PD. You have to now. Hopefully, people will know that they don't just pass PD. You have to
Right.
stop in PD.
There's plenty to do even in the village of PT. I mean,
Yeah, there is a
people
lot.
don't even realize about all the trails that you have.
Oh yeah, Oh, you know what? And that part of the conversation when we were planning this was to do that because there's a whole ridge to reef concept that we want to promote, and part of that is going through those trails. And I thought, hold on, I only have 2 hands and 2 feet. Let's take baby steps for
Right.
now.
The only
So that's what
question, the only question
Mhm.
that I have is the mangrove tour.
Yeah.
I saw that it is full. You can't register. But what's
Correct.
stopping from somebody just to show up at the mangrove area and be like, I'm here?
Nobody knows where it's going to be at, I don't think. I know
okay.
they know that they have to meet at the basketball court.
Oh, okay.
So if you signed up for the mangrove tours and you're confirmed, you have to meet at the basketball court across the church in PD,
Right.
and you will be shuttled to the mangrove.
Okay.
So there will be a bus shuttle to take you to the actual mangrove that we'll be
That you're
touring,
going to tour.
and then it'll take you back to the basketball court.
And when you're talking about tour, you actually have guides.
Yes, we do. We have biologists that will actually be they'll be leading the tour.
Okay.
So, like I said, we put in a lot of work into this, and the biologists will be the ones to talk about, what's going on over there.
Nice.
And what they can see, what they can find. Hopefully, they'll be able to see some birds because there's a lot of birds these days.
All right, Mayor. We'll see you
Talk to
tomorrow. We'll see you on Sunday as
Okay.
well. I know that it's
Sounds
free, but people still should bring cash because there's plenty of other entertainment and vendors that will be
Correct.
there.
Yes, bring your cash. Otherwise, there will be an ATM here.
Okay.
So, yeah. But thank you so much. And
Yes.
yes, please, we'll see everybody this Saturday and Sunday here in PD.
All right. There you go.
Okay? Thanks so much.
Okay. Take
Okay.
care. Adios. There it is, the president of the Mayor's Council of Guam and the mayor of PT. And are you saying he's the future president of the United States of America?
Whenever you have the title of president,
okay.
you got to hail to the chief.
Yeah. There you go.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey, it's about that time we do traffic at 5:31. Once again, it's about that time we go to the roads of Guam, help your daily commute. Pauly standing by to let you know where to go and where not to go as he helps you move forward. Proudly being brought to you by Guam Auto Spot. Take it away, Pauly.
All right. Helping us move forward on this Friday is Guam Auto Spot. Yeah, plenty of red lines all throughout East Sunset Boulevard headed towards the airport. That is definitely not a shortcut. It's probably going to hold you back the furthest and the longest. I do not recommend that you use East Sunset Boulevard to get down to Route 1 or even bypass that and stay on to Route 10A, because you're going to get held back further. It's usually triple B forwarders, but it's even further back. So just be aware of that. Route 1 is heavily congested as well. Looks like everybody's summer is over, right? Hot girl summer is over already on Route 1. And everybody's headed towards the Dedido area on Marine Corps Drive at this time, heavily congested. All the way to the village of Donkey. And then things kind of clear up, but then it gets congested as well. Slows you down right in front of Chinese Park through Upper Tumon, all throughout Upper Tumon. It does get better right around the Micronesia Mall, though. And then there's a short section between the farmers market in Dedido that will slow you down as well, even southbound. So just be aware.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, helping you move forward on this Friday, that is Guam Auto Spot, right? And so here's their number. So you can schedule that test drive today, 478 Auto. View their inventory on their website at guamautospot.com.
Sometimes the best solution to a tough problem is a little bit of wine and a lot of time. Welcome to the National Day Spotlight for May 29th.
National Coq au Vin Day celebrates a pillar of French cuisine, but was once a desperate solution in peasant kitchens. The name literally means rooster with wine, and it was designed to solve a specific culinary problem. Unlike tender young chickens, an old rooster was notoriously tough and virtually inedible through standard roasting. Farm workers discovered that by slow simmering the bird in a bath of red wine for hours, the connective tissues would finally break down, transforming the meat into a tender masterpiece. Enhanced with mushrooms and pearl onions, this poor man's stew was eventually elevated to a gourmet standard by world-class chefs. It's a delicious reminder that with the right technique, even the most difficult ingredients can be turned into a feast.
Isn't that funny? It was a poor man's food, and now it's 5-star.
There's a lot that went the other way, too, like ice cream and chocolate used to be for the royals and for the rich.
And now we can all have it.
Yeah, so it goes both ways sometimes.
It sure does. We're also celebrating National Paperclip Day and National 529 Day. I'm Alice Anderson.
And I'm Marlo Anderson with National Day Calendar, reminding you to celebrate every day.
If you're looking for world-class website hosting at a fair price, Pair Networks is your best choice. Whether you're a professional web designer or a beginner just getting your site online, Pair Networks has a web hosting plan that's right for you. Log on and learn more at pair.com. That's PAIR.com. Pair Networks, world-class web hosting at a fair price. Visit us at pair.com. Pair Networks.
Registering a domain name on the web? You should know about Pairnick. Pairnick offers .com names at a great price with quality service you expect. Because Pairnick is powered by internet leader Pair Networks. Whether you need a domain name for business or personal use, Pairnick is your best choice. Remember Pairnick when you need a domain name. That's PAIRNIC.com. Pairnick.
Eat fresh in just a few clicks. Order online at SubwayPacific.com for pickup or delivery. Online ordering at SubwayPacific.com is powered by Good to Go. We deliver. At Subway, you gotta refresh to be fresh.
The road to Adelup is off and running. This time, we sit down with Republican candidate Speaker Frank Blass and Dr. Mary Okada. Catch the full conversation that took place on May 7th on the Wave 105's YouTube channel. Stay informed and hear their vision for Guam's future. Wave 105 is a glimpse of Guam radio station.
Back to the show. Here's the number, 671-922-1051. You still got time to talk to this gentleman right here, Mr. Pauly Suba. Buenas.
All right, welcome back, Biba Betness.
Viva!
The OG is in studio.
Oh, man.
And so he was sharing some ideas with us before we got back on the air, and I wanted to give him the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, Pauly, St. Joseph, there's a time, okay, you're going to get an idea. Where do you go? Where does the light bulb go off? The cartoons always, the light bulb goes off.
Over your head.
Over your head.
Right above your head.
And you get an idea. Okay? So you're talking in really beautiful interview. I mean, she was real clear. Since January 1st, they've been doing this, okay? So in that thought, the preparation for this unbelievable 20 hours, 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, that's a lot of time. So in that, Department of Agriculture, the mayor's office, and of course the schools all collaborate. But how do you get this idea? That's where you go into the now. That breathing exercise, where you breathe in with Guaidza and you exhale with Guaidza. You breathe in with Guaidza and you exhale with Guaidza. And you're just paying attention to the inhaling and you're just paying attention to the exhaling. But you're labeling it. That's how you're paying attention to it. So all the thoughts of the future, all the thoughts about the past, all that energy's right now. And the light bulb goes off. And the light bulb goes off. What is SNAP? Food. Mayors, find a field. Find one of the parks. Talk to Eddie Cruz. He'll bring in the soil and the composting. Lay that whole thing out. And let those people go from 6 to 10 early in the morning. Plan it, do what they have to do, community garden, and they're producing food. That's within the mayor. The mayor sees and has people go through drug tests. To be a volunteer on a school campus, there's a process. You just don't go volunteer. There's a process. So in that process, those folks can go to the schools and do what? Exactly the same thing. We have such big acreage in these school campuses. There's not a reason in the world why we shouldn't have sour sap plantations, why we shouldn't have all these unbelievable, wonderful growing watermelons. We got the West watermelons. Put avocado groves and put that 4 hours a day, get signed off, and then go shopping with your SNAP benefits. But if you don't do it, you can eat the food that you're processing. The community gardens, they're undermanned. And the reason why they're undermanned, of course, is because who likes to get hot? Yeah. Who likes to go out in the sun? How many clothes are you going to go through in this 4 hours? But in that aspect, if you want food, if you want SNAP, what's your choice? What's your choice?
Right.
Because the other jobs, the bush cutting, these other things, if you're going to do something like that, is also something you can offer. But that might cost you something because you got to buy the gas, or if the mayor supplies it. To help out of the schools, and like you said, maintain the schools and the yardage, but do it through gardening, do it through farming. And individuals will, all of a sudden, we're not talking about pride, we're talking about happiness.
Right.
Don't use the word pride. Pride is one of the 7 sins.
Sure.
So, but you just change it to happy. Well, I'm happy to be a gecko. I'm happy to be on Wave 105. I'm happy to be in the military. All these kind of things. And so when you start these aspects of these going, then you approach Camp Bloss and you say, okay, squadrons, who are you gonna join up with? Who are you going to be a sister and brother to? Which village? Pick a village. Oh, man, I want Iran. Oh, wow, I want Mauricio. Oh, wow, get in the bus. Let's go.
Yeah.
There you go. There's a whole new group of individuals because this is one fixed aircraft carrier. There's no doubt about it. I mean, what these guys are talking about today, what are you going to do? You know, I told you where we go, where we evacuate, where Guam evacuates to in the big plan. I know about this because I used to be in the Armed Forces Police. I know about how it's all set up. We're supposed to go to Tinian. They're going to fly us over to Tinian, but Tinian now is the biggest airfield in the Pacific.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
not. What do you think? It's not something that you'd want to put to sleep. So but what we have to do is we can't think about these things. You can't project it because once you start projecting it, you create it. What China wants is Taiwan to raise her hand and say, "Okay, I'm ready, big brother. You know, I'll bring the museum back. We'll put it in Shanghai or whatever, right?" But in these meetings and these things that are going on, and the level-headedness, what do you want to think that you have an up-and-coming country that you can't let ND? You ever heard about the RAND? Those guys, that's the military think tank. These cats are just going at it. Okay? Now, what you have to realize, though, is how important it is to implement something like this. How fast could we implement something in this situation? Because you know what? Monday, June 1st.
Right.
Bingo.
Right.
So this next month, in that time spent, set it up. Set it up, folks. Put them to work out there in the farm. You know, any equipment agriculture has, you can do one field at a time. Go out there and plow it up, mix it up. Get Ed to dump some composting in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and do the job. And then Department of Agriculture starts doing seedlings. They don't do seedlings anymore, I heard.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no, that's crazy. Get the seedlings going back up. Crack it. You know, get all that going on and put it out in the fields. And the water, what's going to happen with the water? It's going to be agricultural water for the whole schools now. Not just the regular price, whatever they have to pay, but they could go agricultural rate because you set up water away from the building. It's not connected to the building if you want agricultural water. Easy enough. So GWA gets busy. And the big thing is whoever in the aspect of running in office or any kind of political situation would say, absolutely, absolutely, right? Because what else are you going to have all these people do?
Right.
You know, I mean, that's a lot of people, 7,000 people. And, you know, it's what you have, 3,000? If you have 7,000 people and you got 44 schools.
Right.
Or the mayors, how many villages? 14, 17 villages? 14.
What? So we don't know for sure. Like those numbers are going to either come down or they'll be spot on.
Yeah,
but,
well, when they go through with the restrictions of what it is, but there's a lot of people that fit in the arena, you know, for physical fitness, and it's just because of maybe a situation, a financial situation, or something like that, where they just don't have the opportunity to make the money to support the family, so they apply for SNAP. That's all,
right.
And rightfully so. What it is, the way it works like this, United States is a corporation, okay? We're a corporation, and in that corporation, we pay into it. We're all stockholders in this corporation. Now, as stockholders in the corporation, what do you get? Dividends. Dividends is simply subsistence living, housing, food, and maybe a little welfare. That's offered to students, to artists, to people who are retired and they're in a very fixed low income. So that fits for all of these fine folks. Subsist because you're a U.S. citizen. That's how corporations work. Communism works. They own everything.
Right.
You don't even own your house. Cuba just, 5 years ago, they got to own their own houses. So in that thought, and you think about where that comes from in the aspect of your dictators that you see that never leave office, that are in there, that are so entrenched within the realm, they have a thought of who runs a government the best. And the word is an enlightened king. Because the enlightened king doesn't have to ask anybody for, or who's going to argue with them. Mm-hmm. They just say it. It's divine in that aspect, that they got to that point to be able to do what they do. but it has to be enlightened. Don't forget that part. And enlightened, of course, is when you're blended with nature, when you're paying attention to your breathing, when you have a thought, that's just good,
Right.
And you're not projecting things that you're creating by your speech. And that is what gives us that opportunity as humans, that we can do that. We can say things, and then when we say those things, they become true because we've said them. So you don't say, Jenny, like I say, something other than fair weather. I say fair weather.
Okay.
The other part doesn't mean there is, right? So if I say fair weather, that's what I'm projecting. In that, if you're having something different than fair weather. Something different than fair weather, just what happened last week or this week, the rainfall.
Sure, yeah.
We busted the record way back to, 1922 or something like that? Who knows?
Yeah.
But I mean, this aspect of where we are in our lives right now, this things about these 10, 12, 13 scientists that are dying. The news, this David Wilcox guy. Have you been following David Wilcox?
No, but we were looking at some of that and just trying to draw some connections. So they're not all connected, but it's strange that they all happen to be doing research on what do you call it? Nuclear science.
Yeah. See, it's like what David Wilcox and these guys say. These are the ancient alien guys that were on show forever. They're saying, or he's saying, the other ones, I guess, are no doubt agreeing, that humans have been manipulated mentally for a long time in about how and what we perceive in our visions. It's like trying to remember your dreams. You wake up and you can't remember your dreams, or you have an anchor word that you try to hang on to remember that and be that dream. So that aspect of how our lives are, but the aspect of the controlling nature of it, and where that frequencies and that energy comes from to control these thoughts. That's what these guys are getting into. And even in the aspects of when they 3-Eye Atlas. 3-Eye Atlas in that aspect did a summary of our lives here on the earth, and we didn't pass. But individually, you can pass. But as a species, we're not ready yet because of what we do to each other. So individually, you have that opportunity to get above and see and enter in what they call the new earth. And it's just a consciousness is all it is. But Dolores, these ladies, they talk about it. It's an introduction. It's been introduced for a while now as to what this new earth is. And it's just a consciousness. And it's just putting that part of you into that fifth dimension in a higher state.
So
of
is that what
dimensional
I'm trying to draw connections? So those nuclear scientists, did they move on to the new Earth?
This is what. No, it's not like they.
Okay.
You don't die to go to the new Earth.
Okay.
It's just a consciousness thing.
Okay.
So what it is that AI Atlas, what they said was the report comes back that Earth for 10,000 years is going to be in quarantine. And it's going to be in quarantine to give it an opportunity to live in a blissful state. That's the fifth dimensional state. So in those 10,000 years, you're not going to go out into space. You're not going to do more on your AI. Nuclear is not happening. And there's a moratorium, like on our fruit bat,
Sure, yeah.
right? So there's moratorium on all these activities. Yes. And that's what all these guys were all involved in, those activities.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
So in that thought, and you think about, where we are in a metaphysical sense, where we are in that spiritual sense, you see it to the realm of, with even in Catholicism, 1.2 billion people, some are listening and some aren't listening, I'm sure, to the Pope. But to get them to engage in their confirmation names, to get it where the Pope says, okay, folks, if you have a confirmation name, when you're greeted in church, peace be with you. Hi, my confirmation name is it. You get your confirmation name from your neighbor, and you be spirits in our Father's house. in Catholicism. That's 1.2. You think about your Muslims. The Muslims have a dance. It's a spinning dance. Spinning divas, they call them. And they spin until they see God. And that's something that, of course, is going to enlighten the Muslims. The Hindus are already, they're already there. These cats are, Hindus, well, Om to the boys. Yeah, no, I mean, they found it. They found the frequency, and that's where they travel. Jewish people is the aspect of, in the generalization, are taking care of everything. They're just taking care of it because they were promised the promised land, so to speak, and that's the whole ball game as far as people in that aspect can see.
Right.
I think that's why the Germans, the Hitler, and the gangs were so freaked out about the Jewish folks, or about however we see and who's really in control throughout the world. I mean, the Rothschilds own 2 Federal Reserve banks. So you see all this and you wonder about to what depth we have our enlightenment. How do we get into the realm of that space? And you do it through their children. Through their children, they are going to be born into this enlightened state because the whole planet is ascending. And what is ascension? Truth, Pauly. Truth. The veil has busted open. David Wilcox is spitting out all this stuff, crazy stuff. And all these other people are backing him up about how and what's been going on for thousands and thousands of years. Because this veil is opening up. This is this new earth, this new truth that everybody's understanding. Yeah, Google it. I mean, it's nuts. Once you kind of get into what these people are talking about, and they have some authenticity to them, right? Is the difference, from some people who may not be that authentic.
Oh, they're taking it seriously. There's a whole bunch of investigations just trying to see if there's a serial killer out there trying to kill these nuclear scientists, right? Because it is strange to see that in a matter of like 6-7 years, you have 12?
Yeah, or even more. Wilcox died too. So what the crazy thing is like this. Here's the movie. There's all these avant-garde scientists dying. And they're all studying longevity, right? They're all studying how to live long lives, healthy lives. So in that study, what they've done, they've come to a point where they're seeing them, they're dying. And this investigative recorder goes from each one, the reporter, and he sees, yes, in fact, these are homicides. They say it's a suicide, but there's too much stuff that limits this. So they go and they notice that all of them, in fact, are being assassinated. So at the end of the movie, the guy's sitting in the chair, the investigative reporter, the assassin's got his gun right to his head, and the investigative reporter says, "Hey, man, tell me, please, who are you working for?" He goes, "Are you kidding? Social Security." Bang.
Wow.
Nuts, huh?
Yeah.
So you see about where it is within this realm of who's controlling. And then they talk about 13 families. They talk about all these different things. And then who's controlling the 13 families and where do they come from? The Anunnaki, that planet, that 10th planet. So all of these things and how crazy it gets. Like Hunter S. Thompson said, when the going gets weird, the weird turn pro. That's what these guys are doing. That's what's going on with these guys who are in these avant-garde scientific approaches, right? It's getting weird for them. You see them, you see their latest interviews, they say, "Wow, I'm worried, I'm scared." It's what they say, it's how it is and what they're anticipating, how close they are to this revelation of this. And then the Spielberg movie. Wow, have you seen the previews for that?
I have.
Oh, wow.
It's coming out next month, right?
The 12th.
Yes.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and he when you see him, he says, "Yeah, no, it's all fiction," or not. Right? He kind of gives you a.
But you get inspiration from certain, from research.
Sure,
it's fiction, but I mean, he's been around long enough,
right,
to get information from these experts, right, that have told him some things.
Well, what it is that they're not flying in. It's all created here. They're saying the inner Earth, this whole thing. They've been here for thousands and thousands of years, and a lot of the stuff that are being produced and what are being made. But and it's multi-dimension. It's dimensional traveling. So we travel in our conscious to the 5th dimension, and you have that conscious there. So where we are right now, sitting in the studio, are all these different frequencies.
Do you think the Mayans already moved on to?
They walked off?
to the
You know,
newer?
if you study the Urantia book, Adam and Eve, their children, had a choice to either stay on Urantia or go back to Jovan, their planet. And so that would be a movement of those people. So there's no doubt in anybody's mind that, you know, to that point, but it's dimensional. It's like the transport is a dimensional, molecular, as opposed to that we think going.
Well, the whole civilization is gone, but we see remnants of them.
Yeah, they walked off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I
Now
mean,
Jones,
look
remember
at the
Jones?
architecture with their
Right,
pyramids.
but remember Jones? But the thing about Jones in South America, all those people died because they were going to meet a spaceship that was going to go by the Earth.
Okay.
That's what his thing with that cult. They all committed. They drank
the Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid. They all, yeah. And so those guys. But that was the selling point. We're going to go out on this spaceship that's going by. We're all going to die.
What's that one with in San Diego? For the cult that was found in, you know, they packed up. They were found in a house.
Oh,
What was
wow.
that one? It happened, I want to say early 90s, late.
And they all died?
They were all wearing Nikes?
Yeah, and they were all wearing Nikes.
And they died.
Yeah.
Yeah. That it's if you can get somebody to think that you're going to be able to take your spirit
all
with
went
you.
to sleep. They were all sleeping.
Well, yeah. Same thing in South Africa, South America.
Jim Jones,
Yeah, Jim Jones. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but what we're talking about, what we want to project, of course, in this thought is getting back to SNAP. Get that together really quick by July, right? They got to have it by July because June's going to be they're going in. Yeah. They're going in, but the 20 hours to go in to apply to do what they have to do. I hope they got some people there.
They should already be communicating, right?
Since January 1st.
Yes.
Yeah, you would think they have, and so people know what to do. Right. But you can't imagine a whole bunch of people can't go to school because they have to get for volunteers and they have to go through a process.
The mayor's is the easiest part.
Right, but even in the mayor's understaffed. But what you do, you take those guys the young ladies who are getting SNAP, and you make them clerks. And if you do 2 hours, or 4 hour in the morning, then another girl comes in, and so in using that. But to get the farming going, that's the big one because SNAP is food, and let's use that.
Right. No, it's not new. I'm not sure. I think my mic is. Ryan, can you double check and just check the balance?
There you go.
It's not balanced. It's tinny. I know we got to get out of here, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I did there.
It's very interesting.
Turn it up.
It's off. Yeah. I don't know what happened. It just happened recently.
Did you just turn it up?
I'm trying to turn it up, but.
Is it getting there? Do you feel it? No?
No, it's your mic. Yeah, it's your mic.
And it just went out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like you're not even on, actually.
Well,
yeah.
we're gonna get out of here anyways, so we're gonna get out of here anyways. So this mic just went out. Mic check.
Must have been a solar flash, or maybe the stuff we're talking about.
Maybe.
There you go.
Yeah, this mic is hella strong, but we're gonna get. Oh, it is a cord. It's a cord. There you go.
There you go.
So we're going to get out of here, and we're going to make room for Rand Kaufman, Edge of Heaven. So, I mean, we already were talking a little bit about that, so don't go anywhere because I am sure that it's going to get deeper into the conversation. Everybody get home safe. Be kind to each other, especially out on those roads. Guaidza, Guaidza. Nice.
Guaidza.
Adios.
Mame snap.